Hey guys, let's see who we've got here. We've only got one signed on so far. So I'm going to wait a little bit as I like to get a few folks aboard. But this is a historic evening, I think, because we have a husband and wife team of handicappers. This will be the Battle of the Sexes edition of Reddit the Wire. Hi, Paula. How are you? Always have a good weekend. I went and saw Todd Rundgren last night with my sister, and it was fun. Okay. Well, since all right, we've got a few more aboard. Oh, guys, let me know who's here because I have my special guests who are chomping at the bit to come on, and I cannot do it unless I have an audience commensurate with their level of respect. So we have to have a few people on here. Who else is here? Okay. Let's see. Paul is definitely here. Hot Rod. Oh, Rodney. Okay. Okay. Well, Rodney's all chomping at the bit. So, without further ado, we've got enough people here. I can do this. As we talked about last week, we kind of got the idea. I've toyed with this for a while. I always like to have more women involved in anything in horse racing because there's a lot of great women handicappers, and they have a different perspective than we do. And fortunately, we have a husband and wife team who are regular attendants. Some of you have seen Silver Charm, better known as Debbie. And as we found out last week, her husband, Joe Mannix, who is also a regular attendee. So I have them both for you guys this evening. And what we're going to do, hey, Ernie, how you doing? We're going to talk about, as we always do, we'll recap the events of the weekend. But what I'm most interested in is Joe and Debbie talking, comparing and contrasting what they do as far as handicapping races. So without further ado, here they are, Joe and Debbie. Hey,
Hello.
guys.
Hi.
Hi,
How
everybody.
are you doing?
Good.
It's a good day.
Now, where are you guys located?
We're in Omaha, Nebraska.
Good God. Oh, my God. We get them from all over the place. Now, I have two questions. Did you ever go to Axar Bend?
I was raised a block away from Exarban. That's how I
Axar Bend.
with
Okay,
horse
sorry.
racing.
I want to pronounce it right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yep. I could see the winter circle from my bedroom window. I would get binoculars out, and my dad would make bets for me, and I would, look to see if I'd won.
That's terrific. And how about Fauner Park?
I've never been there.
Really? Okay.
It's a little bit of a drive for us. It's about 3 hours drive.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not bad, but it's a tough drive because you get a crosswind on the interstate, so you're fighting the car the whole way.
Now, as I recall, I heard this and it seemed like a weird thing, so you guys can confirm it for me. Did they used to rotate Exarban? Like move it around? Was like a state fair type of thing, or it was in one place?
I don't think so. No, it was a big track, but we have down in Lincoln. They called it State Fair Park. Maybe that's what you're thinking of. That's like
I don't know. But somebody mentioned that they used to move it all over the place, and I thought that was a rather
I don't think so.
odd thing. I don't know how you move a racetrack. So.
No.
Well, they could be thinking of when Exarban closed, they moved over. They opened a Horseman's Park, which is a bull ring track. So they moved the track then. So they could be thinking of that.
Probably. And like we talked about last week, I'm not a biggest fan of bull rings. They're just too small for me. But
The races are weird.
Mile and a quarter race would be what, 7 turns, 6, 7 turns.
Yeah, something like that.
Well, let's start off by just recapping the weekend a little bit. I did well in the stakes races at Saratoga. Side fair was pretty simple for the Commonwealth, and I did get Kathy and Marissa home. And I'll tell you what, it was the first time I've ever picked a Chad Brown right when there's 3 or 4 of them in a race. But of course, the weather sucked here. We got a lot of rain, and Saratoga was sort of waterlogged, and Monmouth turned out to be as well. But what did you guys? Did you guys play this weekend?
Played a little bit. I didn't. I had one exacta. I think it was it the journalism exact I had, but that's it. There was not much. I couldn't catch a break on most of my horses. There was a new bet at Del Mar I wanted to try. Well, I don't know if it's a new bet, but they had like you could bet because I had to work on Saturday, so I made my bets and then went to work. And I wanted to do. They had what is a parlay, like a win place or show parlay. I thought that'd be kind of fun, but our local track doesn't let you do that one.
Yeah, sometimes those like the I think at Churchill Downs the Superfecta, the 10-cent super, you can't do it at Churchill on Derby Day. But,
yeah, right.
But there are the win parlay, the win place parlay is a lot of fun, and I'll tell you what. When I used to do Trust the Profits when we go live for the Breeders' Cup, I instigated this. The first year we did it, I was with him. I said, listen, why don't we do a show bet parlay?
I've done that before.
Take a horse, bet him to show. If it comes in, then
We've
we take
done that before.
we let it ride in the next race, and we keep going and see how long we can do it. And the first time we did it, I got Valiant Force at 50-1 in the juvenile turf sprint. And it pays to follow those European races before the Breeders' Cup. And I knew I was going to get them. And then we got Just FYI in the next race who won. And so we were rolling. And I forget there was, and I kept, if you know Trust the Profits, they don't listen sometimes. And I was like, look, the next race I was like, I told you guys to bet this horse, and they didn't. And so anyway, but it's Breeders' Cup is a fun time to do the parlay. But yeah, you can do it any day. You do it on your own. Just bet show bets. I prefer win in place, but for a parlay, especially if you're going to have some odds.
Our local track did that. We would have like a big seminar, and the whole room would vote on to parlay, and we did that. And then remember, we each put in, I don't know,
like $5,
like $5, and then we as a group all decided the bet, and we'd keep it going for like 5 or 6 races. And then they'd vote to cash it in or keep it going. I always wanted to keep it going.
I used to do that with at work. I had I said whenever there was a pick 6 carryover, I would say, okay guys, $10 a piece, let's go for a ticket. And we had one, we literally went, I think 3 days in a row, 5 out of 6, 5 out of 6, 5 out of 6, 5 out of 6. And I said, what do you guys want to do? You want to let it ride? Get the consolation 5 out of 6. And we just kept letting it ride 5 out of 6 every day.
Wow.
But they're fun, and the idea, whenever I do like I was talking last week, if we do anything for the Derby or for the Breeders' Cup, I want it to be fun. I don't want it to be like somebody throwing like the truck payment, down on a pool. So, but it's definitely something to think about. Now we've got Laura here, and I wanted to make sure we acknowledge her right away as one of our star pupils. And let's see what Rodney says here. Let's get the party started. Once again, folks, why I speak highly of Thorograph. All other data told you Baby Vino had no chance, but Thorograph, he was already fast enough to win. The Puma was shitty. Well, I'm not surprised at all that Baby Vino did well. And in my post, I did say, I crossed him out, admittedly. But I did say, if you want to throw him in for third, I don't blame you at all. He was in excellent form. What we didn't suspect was Further Ado would not like the money going, because it was clear he was laboring on the backstretch. And the other thing is they let Napoleon Solo get off to a really soft pace.
Yeah, it was slow.
After the first quarter, I was like, it's over.
I knew Oselli wasn't going to get there when I saw those numbers.
I watched the race a couple of times, and we'll play it again if you guys want. But, Oselli was nowhere, and he turned into a pumpkin finally. And the Puma really didn't run terribly well. It didn't break well, but I mean, he needed a race. Of all of them, I would say he's the one who had an excuse.
That's why I threw him out just because I was a little worried about that time off. So I didn't expect him to be there. But I did have where I run second, third, and fourth. I just didn't have Vino.
Honest and true. This is another. Once again, I got screwed by this crop of 3-year-olds because this was exactly the same scenario as in the Derby.
I thought
2 to
this
1, 2 to 1. 2 to 1. I was like, I have to take a long shot.
You know what? I said that. I said that is what Alex did when he got
Rich Strike.
His name? Rich Strike.
Yeah.
I said when there's 3 horses getting bet like that, go for a long shot. I said that right after the race.
I can vouch. She did say that.
And the only reason I didn't do it was because I really believed Further Ado was the best horse.
Yeah.
And that was the same as the Derby. I thought Chief Wallaby was the best horse, and so I went with it. And I'm telling, when I'm watching him there, I was like, he's not even close to Napoleon Solo. There's no way. No way. And
I thought Iron Honor would run a little better with the weight allowance. Disappointing.
They all sucked. They did.
Yeah,
and
I said that too, that Baby Vino should have been an obvious considering this crop of 3-year-olds.
Yeah. Oh, no question. And Tyler's here too. Hi, Tyler. It was this crop of 3-year-olds is confounding. Look at what Robert did here. I put 100 on Baby Vino.
Oh
and
my God!
So I was good last night. Good for you, Robert.
Congrats.
That's amazing.
And Father Sean is here as well. Hello, Father. Give us a shot here. Give us the. I'm sure he will. By the way, because this is a momentous occasion, this is a drone 1964 anniversary, top of the line shelf for you guys. And I also got Tullamore Dew and got some Irish whiskey. So anyway, but Robert, that's a great call. I tell you, I was kicking myself. I just didn't think Further Ado was gonna throw a shit burger in like that. I really on the backstretch watching the race, I go, no way. I said he's Napoleon Solo's either gonna wire this or somebody else is gonna catch him because Further Ado is working way too hard.
Yeah.
But stuff happens.
I always get pulled into the same thing because I'm looking at it right now. It's like Baby Vino. I get sucked in every time. It's like breaks his maiden and then runs in one race. I'm always like, he's only got the one race. I got to throw him out.
I did notice he won by 10 lengths in the Pegasus, though, and that really sticks out. And I had not even looked at that.
Well, the thing that I went with is that I knew he was in good form, and that's why he was in the race. That wasn't it. There was no other. I mean, he's going to run fine. And as I said in the post, you want to put him in third, no problem at all. I think he's in very good form. You just had to believe Further Ado after that Matt win was going to take another step forward and run a great one. And that's what I was suspecting, and I was wrong. It's this 3-year-old crop sucks.
Yeah,
they do. Golden Tempo's a nice horse, but let's see. Napoleon was too wide and Paco messed. Well, yeah, Robert, that's true. And that was kind of an interesting thing that he left the rail open. And I have to believe, I don't know about you guys, but I think Paco didn't think there was anybody who was going to catch him. He had to look back and say, well, Further Ado is 5 lengths back. We've got it. And he didn't see Baby Vino coming up the rail. That was the old Calvin Burrell job.
Yeah.
But Calvin was always great for that.
Oh, God, yes. Let's see. Hot Rod says, I agree with all 3 of you guys. This crop isn't that good. But I am going to give the Puma another chance. Where is Ted Nafi when you need him? Well, follow this logic. If the 2-turn horses so far aren't that good, I don't think Ted Nafi's a 2-turn horse.
No.
I think you're going to see him in the Alan Jerkins at Saratoga, and he may be very good. But, it's roulette now. I mean, it is with this crop. You just don't know. The more I think about, I just didn't think Further Ado was going to run that badly. I just didn't think he would, and I think he tried to, but he's
Do you
not
think
a
he
mother.
just didn't like the track?
Could have. Well, I do suspect that because the way I've talked about this before, the way he was running, he broke great, and he was right there. But as you watched it there was a point in the race where he like really wanted to get up to Napoleon Solo, and I think that may have witnessed some
Mm-hmm.
frustration on his part because that's what happens is that they get to a point where like they're so sick of running on it, they just kick it into high gear, and then they fall back. And you see, further ado, fell right back. It may have been more he didn't like the mud.
Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean, I don't know about under good circumstances, it might have been a different race. But when you let Napoleon Solo get off to 24 and 48 and 112, I was like, it's over. I thought he would, with some pressure applied, horse is right on his throat latch. I didn't see him doing it, but the Puma broke poorly, so he was at the back, so he couldn't provide any pressure. Iron Honor, for some reason,
yeah.
decided to take back. It was like you guys just gave him the race.
Yeah.
You basically just gift wrapped it to him, but for Baby Vino, he had it. It was a
Yeah.
lot.
I looked at Iron Honor a long time because he's the only one that had a win on an off track. So I looked at that for a while. I'm like, well, it's muddy, but he didn't do what I thought he would do.
Nobody did. None of them did. I mean, it was. Let's see. Tyler here says Knightsbridge was the highlight of the weekend. I would say. I mean, journalism ran his race, and Miramati did what all Bob Bafferts are doing this year, and he proved very mortal. His work tab. I looked at his work tab. I said he could get, and then when Full Serrano scratched, I was like, he got the lead all to himself. And then I don't know who that other was. It the GOAT? He decided he wanted the lead too, and that was pretty much it for Miramati. I thought he would get away uncontested. And when they get ahead of steam, they're really hard to catch, especially if they have some decent speed. And he sucks, like all the Bafferts do this year. He's just no good.
Yeah,
Well,
I was kicking myself because I had that Shea Brennan. He was going to be the first horse in my parlay. I was going to put him to place because I loved him, but since I couldn't make that bet, it didn't do me any good.
He's been a good horse out in California, but he's been running against Calbreds.
Yeah.
Calbreds are what they are, but it didn't mean he didn't have moxie. I just thought, ideally it was going to be Miramati will wire the field and journalism will come closing like a freight train, and Miramati will have the momentum built up and we'll get him. But journalism ran his race. And one thing you can say about that horse, he runs the same damn way every time.
Yeah.
It's right every single time. It's just a question of whether it's good enough. But the Pacific Classic is going to be fun with Nysos.
Yeah. Well, just looking at Del Mar, I said it last week and typing the comments like that. First weekend at Del Mar seems like they get some good prices. I know Debbie she didn't bet him, but she had a couple of guys that she loved and they ran great. It was one of those where we wish we were at the track instead of having to be at work.
Yeah, we have to bet early then. And
I hate
so,
doing that.
yeah, I really hate doing that.
Because you don't get the feel. Like when you got to watch the tote board.
Right.
And I had a 46-1 shot I just missed today at Saratoga, and it was only because I kept looking. I go 46-1, and it was one of those classic Saratoga races where the Chad Brown sucked, and he had every sign that he wasn't that good, and everybody hammered him. And so I looked at one of those classic things. You look at a race, and if you know the favorite's vulnerable, and the second choice isn't that great either, I need odds. Yeah. And I was like, this horse, Gandarelle, and then he was the best turned out. I was like, that's the linchpin right there. I was like, then they mean, and I forget who his jockey was, but it was for John Terranova, who I think he was the trainer. But and he at the top of the stretch, he was in the lead, and I was like, oh my god, if I get there,
It's
and
happening.
then he finished third, but.
And we don't have online wagering here in Nebraska, so
Oh, really?
we can't do Twin Spires or FanDuel. We can't even log on to watch the races
Oh.
unless we drive over to Iowa, which we're real close to Iowa, so we could conceivably do that and try and
Do
beat the
you
system.
do you guys go to Prairie Meadows? Because that's right on the Nebraska border, isn't
That's
it?
about 3 hours from here.
Okay,
So we usually go to a casino right across the river in Council Bluffs.
I got you.
It's
'Cause
just a little off-track betting place.
I almost went to the Iowa Derby just to see Prairie Meadows. I was like, I'll fly into Omaha because I've never been to Nebraska, and I'll drive across.
Yeah.
And I was real close. I almost did it.
Yeah.
And
That's ironic.
Yeah.
Hey, listen, Prairie Meadows looks like a fun track. It looks,
We went once, and it was a fun track. We'd gone there. I mean, years ago at this point, we drove there and spent a night at the hotel, and it was a fun track to play.
That's all the track has to do for me to be a good destination. I
Yeah.
mean, people are always like, oh, yeah, well, who are you watching run? Who cares? It's horse racing. You can still bet. You can still find value. You can still find, in fact, a lot of times those smaller tracks, that's where you can really clean up. You can
Yeah.
find some major league long shots. But plus, watching it for that weekend, it's like all you got to do is pick the horse in the lead and it's
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
It's for 2 days. I was like, oh my God, every single
Yeah.
horse in the lead gone.
It is.
Yeah. Well, that weekend we were there, it was funny because we were at one point we all kind of separated, and we all ended up betting the same horse secretly because it was Tin Chino was the jockey because he was a jockey that rode here in Nebraska, and we all bet him and he won. But it's kind of funny because we all secretly bet him,
Yeah.
and then afterwards like, oh, that was me, and so we all had the same horse but independently.
Well, let's see what Stuart says. I want to get some comments because they're piling up here. Stuart says, the way they run 3-year-olds now is all wrong. They just run them early enough and get some races in them. Fair enough. Like we talked about last week, I think if they can add some value to the 2-year-old stakes races as far as points, you might start seeing some good 2-year-olds. I mean, there's good 2-year-olds running, but not the 2-turn Derby prospects. The old days, I mean, I'm telling you, the old days, the Champagne Stakes, you had 5
Oh, yeah.
horses there.
I loved the champagne back then.
Yeah, I mean, and the Delmar Futurity, and you had legitimate Derby prospects, and now I don't fall for it, but a lot of people do. They see
Like the
these,
Kentucky Jockey Club, I always get so excited thinking,
yeah, you see them around 2
Maybe
turns. You go, wow! Remember Instant Coffee?
yeah,
Oh, geez.
Everybody's like, oh wow, Instant. I'm like, come on, not yet. I mean, he didn't even run the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, so I was like, come on. But yeah, Stuart, you're right. I would like very much. I hope this is a watershed year, and that they say, you know what, maybe we ought to go back to the old way we used to do things. Run them at 2,
Yeah.
build foundation, 3 Derby preps, go to the Derby. But that's going to be harder to do now that they move the Arkansas Derby to 3
Yeah.
weeks away. And the rep, I don't know what's going on with that. I don't know who came up with that idea, but
I know Oaklawn is Debbie's track. She loves that track.
oh, I do too. I love Oaklawn. It's one of my favorites, and I really like Matt Dinnerman too.
oh yeah.
Let's see what Laura says. I tell you, Father, if I could talk racing with my priest, he would see me more often.
It's a good one.
Well, we probably could get Sean on here to hear confessions, but
Yeah, there'd be some interesting ones.
let's see. Robert says, Further Ado wins a race and then bounces after time. Okay. I think it was more conditional than I think he looked ready to run to me. I just don't think he wanted the mud. I really do. I mean uh, and I think he's a horse who has to pick he didn't have the scenario. I don't think he's comfortable doing what he had to do, which is chase like that. He likes to sit, maybe 3 or 4 back and make his move. But hey, you're supposed to be, if you're a great horse, it doesn't matter. But that's that. Let's see what Rodney says here. See, that's where we differ, Alex. I was never high on wait a minute. I was never high on Further Ado.
I never bet him.
Did I not tell everybody and their brother to throw him out for the Derby? Okay, now after the Matt win, I changed my mind. I said
he became a believer.
He's grown. He's matured. He looks
right.
Every time he ran a big race, he regressed. Look at his thoroughbred pattern. Okay, well that's fair enough, Rod. I haven't seen that. So that's good intel. But I will say this: I just thought it was a matter of it wasn't. I wasn't necessarily thinking he was a Keeneland horse. I just said he can't run that type of race outside of Keeneland. Was more my thinking. I see he was a good horse. I don't think he. I really think it had to do with the mud because the way he ran, he wasn't. Sometimes when a horse is ready to regress, they get really sharp, like really sharp. And what are you guys chuckling at?
Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, guilty of having bet on short-priced favorites.
Okay, so you guys are reading ahead. I haven't even seen this stuff here.
Yeah.
All right, let's see. Rod says, please don't remind of that race. God, he's so freaking bad. Couldn't have a pace shape set up so easily for a horse and just drop. Well, I will say it was 24 and 48. You're talking about the Derby. No, he wasn't going to win the Derby. All right, let's see. Father Sean, what does the Irish priest have to say? Edgar Zayas on Gander on the 5th. Yeah, I had him. He was looking awful good. For a little while there, but hey, that's horse racing. Let's see. Forgive me, Father, for I have sinned, guilty of having bet on short price favorites. Hi, David. Good to see you. I think we're all guilty of that on occasion. I try not to be. I am not big on short prices unless I can get a monster underneath for a nice exacta. Those kind of confessions we could do. Dumb bets, bad beats, hedging when we shouldn't have, etc. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'll confess, I bet Oselli because I've been betting him since the Wood. And I cannot let them go when I've developed a mental attachment to them like that.
That's a tough horse. It was like Publisher last year.
Yes.
He came into the Derby looking pretty good. And I remember, Asmussen had Tistastic as well. And
that was another horse that I loved.
And everybody's like, oh, Tistastic's training great. But I said, listen, watch his running lines. He's a very one-paced horse.
Yeah.
Not going to win the Derby. Now, he might clunk up for 3rd, but that's it. And Publisher, I actually was I was higher on him than I was Tistastic because the Arkansas Derby, I was like, all right, maybe he's ready to take that step forward and crash. And he really hasn't turned into much.
No.
But those are hard. It's a classic thing. It's called chasing it.
Yeah.
When you think he's just the next race, he's going to take it over. And everybody's fallen prey to that. You think, Giacoso was a horse like that for me because he went to the Jockey Club 38-1. And I said, hey, this horse doesn't have bad dirt form, and he's not bad on turf. he might surprise. And at the top of the stretch, he did the Oselli thing. He was right there in the Kentucky Jockey Club. He looked like he was going to make his move and blow right by the field. And what happened? He flattened right out, finished fourth.
It is a horrible feeling, though, if you have a horse that you've been backing all year and you finally get off of them and then they win. That part is always the worst beat for me.
Oh, yeah. No, you don't want to be at the wedding. You don't want to be at the funeral. And you always get off them too late. I've had that happen myself. Let's see. Robert says, I went with Program Trading as my first bet because I was told he is good on the wet and I delivered. Program Trading was not unrealistic at all. What my issue with Program Trading is something's off the fastball. There's no doubt about it. Look where they're putting him now. They're putting him in races that he has a clear class edge over the field.
I tried to beat him. I like that.
Look at the emphasis, right? He made his move. You go, here he goes, right? And then what happened? He just flattened right out.
Yeah, I had him. I liked him, but he was so much classier than everybody else.
Yeah. No, they're gonna put him in races like that forever.
Don't get me started on Just a Touch. He was my key in the Derby that year. That horse owes me a lot of money.
Did you guys watch my post when I said you guys are gonna laugh, but I'm taking Just a Touch and I singled them?
Oh,
and here's why.
I see how he could get beat.
Now here's the funny thing, right? I had a protracted explanation as to why Just a Touch was no good. And I have had more. I posted every race he was in. I said, I will bet against this horse till the cows come home because of the Bluegrass Stakes.
Oh, yeah, that was bad.
Because in the stretch, he stopped running.
Yeah.
Until Sierra Leone met him in the eye, and then he started running. And I said, that's herd mentality. So he comes out of 4. I go, I'm tossing him. He was short prices. I tossed him 3 straight races, cleaned up. But then he goes on turf and he wins a race from off the pace, which I couldn't believe. And then he wins in 1 mile 3/8, I think it was, and he wires the field. There's no pace in this race. He's gone. Yeah. Probably didn't like the soft turf. That may have had something to do with it, but
could be.
I never bet that horse, and I never will again because one time I bet him and he let me down. But he has no heart. He's got herd mentality. Let's see what Rodney says. I think Cox made a big mistake, and in my opinion, he regrets putting Just a Touch on the turf. Even in his 2 wins, I mean, I'm not a trainer, and I said he's not a turf horse. The reason he's on the turf, Rod, is he couldn't figure out what else to do with him.
Yeah,
that's it. Hey, when you have the pedigree, like the resume that he had, when you come out at 4 and 5 years old and you can't beat anybody, they got to find a niche for him so they can salvage his breeding value. So they're looking and go, well, he's not doing it on dirt. He should be a monster at 1 turn. He's not doing it. Don't want to put him to 2 turns. Let's put him on the grass. Yeah. I'll guarantee you that's what it was. Let's see if he's good there. And he was. He's better on the grass, but he's a bum. It's just, Let's see what Laura says. Further ado, I was so disappointed. Like you said, Alex, a good horse can adapt. I think I have worked him out of my system now, not the horse. I thought, needless to say, the Haskell was extremely disappointing. But I think that the track had something to do with it. I certainly do. I'm not ready to give up on him, and certainly for the Breeders' Cup, you don't want to give up on him because he's going to the track he loves. And this could be one of those everybody says, oh, he's no good. And then he gets on Keeneland again and look out.
Yeah, get some odds there.
Oh, yeah. So let's see what he does wherever they put him next, whether it be the Jockey Club or some 2-turn race at Keeneland, whatever it might be. Let's see. I was on the 6 in Program Trading. Just a Touch messed the race up. He should. Damn right he did. The 6 was by far the best. Yeah, Uncle's Gold was good. And he was another one. He'd been running more locally than anywhere else. He was pretty good. I was on him.
I won't bet Paco Lopez. That's another mental block I have. I don't like him. I don't like that time he hit that horse over the head.
Oh, listen, did I tell you guys a story? I was at Saratoga. Got to be about 20 years ago, and there was this horse Rondo for Godolphin, and he was one of those classic, like really classy pedigree, and he was a bridesmaid. He always finished second, one race after another. And he's always a short price because his pedigree was everything was there except the will to win. So he goes in this race, and there I am right at the finish line, and I bet against him. And the horse, I bet, is ahead of him. Edgar Prado is on the horse who's ahead of him. Smack! Hit that horse right in the nose. Rondo hit him right in the nose.
What?
Couldn't believe it. Everybody was like, whoa. You had this big whoa like that.
He just reached over and hit him?
Oh, yeah.
I've seen that before, but
Yeah.
wow.
Yeah, Paco's a menace. I mean, what can you say? He's just a menace, and he just got another suspension, I believe. He there was a race they've been all over X with that he literally was in the stretch. He had the lead, and he still went right like that right over a horse. No reason for it at all.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. Debbie had one that who was the horse that Billy Patton was on, and he ended up getting DQ'd later on for having the buzzer.
Val Hall.
That was her horse, and so she managed to catch the tickets, but buzzer Billy
wow.
from then on.
Wow, that's going way back.
Yeah.
I remember that. I read it. You know what? I have to be honest. I read it in a book, and I think it was about Monarchos. I read a book about, and they talked about Val Hall, and about they thought something fishy was going on.
Yeah, because they had the pictures of that buzzer when he threw it.
The next day in the forum, they had a photo of something flying out of his hand. And they took Val Hall down after the fact.
Yeah, I mean, this stuff happens. I'm not a babe in the woods. I mean, when you're at the smaller tracks, that's where you're going to see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But he's just a reckless rider. I was watching when I replayed the Haskell. I wanted to see how high his hand was going when he was hitting the whip on Napoleon Solo. He was okay, but that was, yeah. But he's winning 46% of his races.
Yeah.
I've never seen that before, ever. But anyway, all right, we're caught up with the comments, so I want to get to my idea here, if you don't mind. And basically, what it is, and I think we talked about it, is that I'm extremely interested always in the male-female dynamic as far as handicapping goes. And the reason being is that I know enough female handicappers that quite often we can come to the same conclusion, but they do it differently. And that's not a judgment one way or the other. It's just a really interesting, I think, because there's usually other variables necessarily that I might concentrate on that a woman doesn't. And I don't want to make a blanket statement like that, but
I understand.
But that's kind of the idea. So, ladies first, of course. Debbie, if you would, give us a little idea of how you go about handicapping a race and things that are important to you and what you do and
Okay.
you have before.
The last couple of years, I've started to do a spreadsheet. I don't know. I guess maybe I certainly know some times that are like a good time. For example, that horse we were talking about in the San Clemente that won. I noticed he had a 108 almost flat in his first race out. And I thought, oh, I circled it. I thought that's fast. But I like to convert their times. I have a website I go to where I convert their times to miles per hour. That's just something for me that I like to see that puts things in perspective for me to see how fast they were running at points of call their last race. And then I chart it out on my spreadsheet. And then I kind of map it out, all the runners in the race comparatively in their last prep, how fast were they running compared to the other horses in the race. And so sometimes you can see patterns then.
Oh, yeah.
of who to throw out. And sometimes it works like gold, sometimes it's completely wrong. Obviously, you can't just go by a number like that. But I like to watch race replays. I like to look for horses that had trouble. I've gotten a lot of Breeders' Cup turf, like really doing a deep dive into some of those overseas prep races. They're hard to find, but that Stephen that won last year.
Just as a note, I might add, if I may, Twin Spires, they're all there. I know you guys have trouble with the Twin Spires, but you can go to virtually any English or Irish track and sometimes you can even get the French replays.
Yeah, I think I have seen some of those.
And you know what I do? I just go on YouTube and type in the race and the horse.
Yeah.
That's what I do too.
But I will. You hit something right on the head, and this is something I've made every year at the Breeders' Cup. I make a lot of posts of showing the race replays of the European races because that's how you're going to know more than anything else. But I'm glad you're doing that because that's a really vital Breeders' Cup wise. Especially those 2-year-old races, so important. That's how I got on Big Evs. He was racing against older horses at 2.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do that strategy too. There was a couple this weekend. In fact, just a minute. It was that Somerset that won in the San Clemente had been running against older horses 2 races back.
Good call. I will say the only reason I didn't get on him was there was too much speed in the races. Seemingly,
yeah,
there were a lot of horses, and he didn't run that way. That's how you always get killed when a horse who normally is craving for the lead takes back, and you don't expect it. What was the Diana was run exactly like that. If you watched it, it was running
I did watch that
in reverse. 5G was at the back. We thought he'd be at the lead. And I'm watching, I go, this is a funky race. What the hell's going on here? They're all running opposite the way they normally do. But anyway, don't want to digress. So miles per hour, that's
so I like that. And then I've expanded it over the years. I've got too much stuff on there now. Like for the Derby, I'll have their stride length, how much stride they lost, how much speed did they lose from the beginning to the end. I'll just tell you, the year that Sovereignty won, my spreadsheet on, I think it was the final miles per hour, if you threw out, who was the Virginia Derby winner? I can't think of his name now.
Oh, yeah. American Promise.
American Promise. Those numbers were phony. I threw those out. It came Sovereignty or Journalism over by Izza. I mean, it was cold. But it doesn't always come in like
the world. Easiest one to ever get. Those 3 and all underneath, you got it.
Yeah. And so
I got something for you, Debbie.
What?
Now that I know you do that, and this is actually going to jibe perfectly. This year, now I don't like to crow about the competition. However, in the money media, Peter Thomas Fornatale had a guy on to talk about GPS tracking data.
Yes.
And it uses exactly what you're talking about.
That's where I get my info from Equibase.
Oh, there you go. Okay, great. Because that was one of the reasons that I happened to watch the show, and I was not high on Commander, but when they started talking about his stride length was short.
Yes, he did have a very, very short stride.
And it reinforced, and I only, like I said in all my posts, I said Brad Cox kept saying, I don't know how far he wants to go. And why did he put him in the Mucho Macho Man? A one-turn race. If he wasn't sure, he's like, well, I'll get some earnings from him if he bombs out later around 2 turns. But anyway, that GPS data, and I'm probably going to start looking into that because it looked very interesting.
I should, Laura, by the way, it's called Horse Race Calculator, and you can use furlong. I put the furlong in.
Can you put the link in the? Can you can do that there, right? Just
let
put
me
that
join.
link.
Yeah, let me see if I can connect here.
That's great because see, this is what I mean: community, all working together, all for something. That's great.
So anyway, yeah, I go on Equibase a lot. Okay, so no, it won't let me.
You can try it on your phone.
It won't let me connect for some reason right this second. But it's called Horse Race Calculator.
Tell you what, email it to me, Debbie, and I'll put
Yeah.
it on. I'll put it on the site.
But I mean, it's pretty convoluted. I've heard people criticize that looking at the miles per hour is stupid, or tracks that show the miles per hour in the stretch, that's stupid. But sometimes, like I've got Sees the Gray. I think we talked about that last week or 2 weeks ago, because he had so much early speed in the Pat Day. I thought, well, this horse could be gone. So it makes it concrete for me.
Well, what I would say to anybody who says that is, first of all, the feet per second in the pace study that we do is really not much different than miles per hour. If it resonates with you and it makes you can, it works as a variable for you, then that's fine. That's all it is. The people get way too, like some people, old school guys use Beyer speed figures because that was the first figure. But they also have learned over the years, because the Beyer speed figures were in print before computers. So they learned that you have to look at the variant. They've learned how to interpret Beyer speed figures, but that's what they know and that's what they work with, and that's fine. For me, Brisnet figures make a lot more sense. For Rodney, the Thorograph makes a lot of sense. I like the Thorograph a lot too.
But I do like that too.
But hey, if miles per hour is the way you can put it together in your head.
But I like Thorograph. I like to get as much information as I can. I like to look at I figure out the 2 to 3 furlong internal time. I'll do 5 to 6 for the Derby preps. I'll do 7 to 8 final. I compare those and then look to see, okay, what horse is the fastest at this point? What horse has the fastest internal time? Like Renegade really stuck out this year, but Golden Tempo had a lot of positives on like gaining speed at the end of the race.
I'll give you a little tip. I don't know if you do this or not, but all that data you're correlating and you're analyzing. You know what I usually give you guys a chart. I show you what the pace, what the out of the gate, what they're going to look like. You should try doing that. Just draw a line. You look at all the horses by your data. Who's going to be here at the start? Who's going to be here? Who's going to be here? And then draw it out. Because I'm telling you, one of the things that's really I found very helpful is that having that visual reference.
Yeah, I kind of do that then. I'll take
the
2 furlong, and then I'll chart out, okay, of all these entrants, who's going to probably be in the lead.
Oh, excellent. And then, that's what I'm saying.
So then that's where I get my little patterns. Good. Like who starts off with a 7, for example, and ends up with a 1. And I'm kind of starting to find some patterns now that I know are phony. I can't think of what horse. Oh, the horse that I keyed in the Derby, the Riley Mott. I can't think of his name. Incredible. His numbers, his pattern was like a 7, 6, 3, 1, 1, 1. And I'm kind of starting to find that that's a phony pattern, for example. If you see that, just throw them out. It looks good. They're not going to be there. It looks too good to be true. Was it American Promise? I knew those numbers were phony. And you have to kind of be able to gauge where there's phony numbers.
And where'd they both run?
Right. I mean, Incredible is okay.
No, I right off the bat, after the inaugural Virginia Derby last year, and I had a friend of mine who doesn't handicap, but he's like, I'm going to Colonial. Give me some pointers. I said, first of all, figure out who's going to be on the lead and go with it, because generally that track is very speed favoring. And what we learned from the Virginia Derby last year and we did this year, those numbers can't be trusted, because I think Incredible's pace numbers this year were just ridiculous. And I had to put a disclaimer. I said, he will not run back to this. There's no way. If he were,
You have no idea how long I struggled on that because I knew American Promise. I knew those numbers were so phony, and I thought, are they phony this year, or is this horse for real? And that's where the problems are. And Laura, no, I don't have time to do this for every race.
none of us do.
I would go crazy. Like for these races this weekend, I did a brief numbers. I did do the numbers for the Haskell, but sometimes I do better when I don't do these numbers, when I just handicap looking at the form and watching race replays, because it's not, you can't, like you've said that before, you can't just say, oh, I've got a system and this is going to work.
No, but you have a method. It's more what you're doing is more a method. Let me
Right.
qualify this. When I say system,
Right.
System means you have to do this. You have to make this decision every single time.
Right.
So people, when I say system, I mean people go, "Oh, the horse has front wraps. I have to bet him."
Mhm.
Like, let it ride, right? Either
Yeah.
when serving,
Classic.
It's got front wraps. I bet every horse with front wraps. That's a system. A method is, well, I tend to prefer horses who have early speed. However, based upon my years of experience and my handicapping races, the shape of this race looks like a closer's probably going to win it.
Right.
So, although I normally like speed, I don't think it holds here. That's a method. So you've got a method. You have a way you initially approach a race, but you also know that sometimes you have to, cowboy it, and you just be like, well, there's nothing. I talk about it all the time about making audibles. About it's good to have a preconceived plan, but
and that's for dirt. I don't know. I don't think these numbers would work on turf.
oh no, you turf pace numbers and all that, they don't work. They don't work. I when I started doing pace calculations, I did turf races as well. They don't hold up because the shape of the race can be different. Turf is very unique. I mean, you notice in the European races, they don't even keep track of the time. The fractions, I don't know what the fractions are for any of those European races. They don't keep track of them because who won the race? That's all they care about. It's turf, right? So, but well, that's interesting. I had never thought of that before, but hey, it's pace calculations. It's just a different way of going about it. So that's now, Joe.
Yes,
you have been extremely gentlemanly and quiet. And so we've had the point. Now I want to hear the counterpoint.
Okay. I have a tendency to look.
And you're not allowed to say Jane, you ignorant slut either, because if you do, I'm knocking you guys off.
What? What did he say?
No bad words.
He knows. Don't you remember that Saturday Night Live, Dan Aykroyd and Jane Curtin?
Yes.
Point, counterpoint?
Yes. That's back when Saturday Night Live was really funny. They had a good cast.
Yeah, exactly. But they did the point, counterpoint, and Jane Curtin would always lead off, and she'd be like, Dan, chauvinist like you, and she'd go off this thing, and he'd be like, Jane, you ignorant slut.
Yep, I remember that. And when you mentioned it, I was like, oh, yeah, I do remember that.
No. I don't want to get on Debbie's bad side. Joe, I'm glad you explained it.
I look at the races a little differently. It's like I had commented that I always liked Aqueduct, and you didn't like Aqueduct, but the thing I liked about Aqueduct is I look at track bias as one of the first things I look at. And I used to love Aqueduct because if I could figure out who had the lead coming out of the turn, they were going to win because the stretch was just whoever was on the lead coming out of the turn was going to win. You'd see a guy closing like gangbusters. They never got there. So I look at the track bias, and that's kind of how I ended up with Golden Tempo in the Derby because I bet at Fairgrounds, I bet all over the speed because Fairgrounds have been speed, and here comes closers. So I kind of paid more attention to that. I'm like, well, he closed into speed favoring track. I'm like, okay, he did well in that. That's where I went with him because I'm like, okay, if he could do that with a track where the front runners were holding all day, I gave him the benefit of the doubt on that. So I start out looking at track biases first and then try and figure out who's who's going to fit the pattern that I think will be the track's bias.
Yeah, and that's and this, the shape of the race, right? I mean, it's. I think that's why I like Oaklawn and I like Churchill Downs. They're fair,
Yeah.
and when I say that, what I mean is you can win on the lead, you can win from behind, you can win stalking. They're fair tracks.
Yeah.
Belmont, the new Belmont, if it's anything like the old one, speed, 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 speed. You're on the lead, it's over. Soft turns, but you're right. Aqueduct, very much. I was playing a contest a couple months ago, and I was kicking myself because the first race I picked the horse coming from off the pace at Aqueduct. I said, "What are you doing?" It's Aqueduct.
Yeah.
And watched him close like a freight train, only to finish second.
Yeah.
And I was just like, yeah. So yes, you're right. That is the when it depends on what track I'm playing, but yeah, the first thing I want to think about is like Prairie Meadows. I don't play that track.
Yeah.
But I tell you, after a couple of races, I was like, just get to the lead and it's over.
Yeah.
It is the way that track's playing. So yeah, that's a monster indicator. And then when you know that, then you can go through the whole card.
Yeah. You just got to figure out who's going to have that lead. That's because then I'll go through when I know if I'm looking at a track that's speed favoring, I'll go through and say, okay, I'll put the times. I don't do nearly as many numbers as Debbie, but I'll put, who can run the fastest first call. Okay, this guy will be on the lead, or this guy can't get there. What's their best ability? And I'll try and figure out who's going to be on the lead if it's a speed favoring track. So I get kind of sucked into that a little bit. So when it comes to like Churchill, where it's more fair, I struggle a little bit more because I can't find a bias in the track.
I will say he does not take it. I will obsess like over one race for a long time. Like I'll start handicapping the Derby when these prep races. And I mean, I think about it all the time. I dream about it. I dreamt Sovereignty was going to win the Fountain of Youth. And from there on, I even dream about it, but he handicaps a lot quicker than I do.
No. Well, there it is. There's like two ends of the spectrum.
Yeah.
Because Debbie, what you do, I did notoriously for the first few years for the Kentucky Derby. It drove me nuts. Am I right? I don't know if I'm right. I'd go crazy until Barbaro. The night before Barbaro, I said, you know what? Fuck it. I've been doing this long enough. He's the best horse. I'm going with Barbaro. He's going to win. And he did.
Yeah.
And I had people all these people who were wise guy freaks, Sweet Northern Saint. So he won the Illinois Derby. Barbaro's undefeated, turf, dirt. He's winning,
Yeah.
And all those people, guess what they did? And I even had people at my office. Alex, who are you going to bet in the Derby? Barbaro. Lock it in. Done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Go to the window, Barbaro. So I come in Monday. How'd you do? Did you bet Barbaro? No, actually, I bet Sweet Northern Saint.
Oh, stop. I bet Sweet Northern Saint too.
And I said, I told you.
I love that
told
horse.
you not to
love
do
Sweet
that. I
Northern
told you he
Saint.
was a wise guy horse. No. I will qualify it as this. Sweet Northern Saint had a very tough trip that day, and they had to use him quite a bit.
Yeah.
And Barbaro did have a perfect trip, but he was the best horse.
I forgot about Sweet Northern Saint. God, I love that horse.
Yeah, and it was amazing. The next year I saw him in a claiming race, and I couldn't believe it.
Oh,
Couldn't believe it. I said, he just wasn't the favorite for the Kentucky Derby. And now he's running in claiming races. He's a gelding, that's what happens. I want to very quickly, we'll diverge a bit because Nina is one of our loyal subscribers is asking, how do you learn track bias? And I would like you guys' input. I'm going to give mine, and then I'd like you guys to follow up with that. Basically, Nina, what it is watching the track. And now, the real linchpin to it is understanding when there is an actual bias as opposed to the track just playing the way it normally does. When you have a bias, now Keeneland is a great example. The old days before they went to synthetic and back to dirt, if you were on the lead at Keeneland, it was over.
Yeah.
It had a rail bias as well. So like if you were the one horse and you were on the lead on the rail, it was over. That's a track characteristic. When you have a track bias, I don't qualified the Breeders' Cup in 2006 at Churchill Downs. Every horse was winning on the rail. The one horse, if you were on the dirt, if you were on the rail, you won. That was it. That's a track bias. When at Prairie Meadows for the Iowa Derby, the corner, you were on the lead. It was over. You couldn't. The Preakness. All those late runners, anybody who was off the pace had no chance. No chance.
Yeah.
That's a bias. When there's a
I don't like that because I don't, he'll tell me there's a bias and then I'm like, I'm trying to beat the bias.
Yeah.
That's my style.
The bias got me this year with Fairgrounds because it was.
Well, let me tell you. Well, no, you made a really good point, Joe. Is that here's the thing that's great about biases, and I tend to agree with you, Debbie. I don't like them either. I like the best horse to win, but here's one thing you can take from a bias: when a horse wins against the bias, bet him with both hands the next time.
Yeah,
because that's a special horse, because he's able to contradict or overcome what is a monster impediment.
Yeah.
Learning bias is just watching Nina, and I don't know how you guys feel about it, but that's the way I learned. It is, I think people are very quick to assume there is a bias when there isn't one.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, a little thing you can look for is when you see the jockeys stay away from the rail. And like they're coming down the stretch and they're in the 3 path. The rail probably sucks that day.
Yeah.
I do like to look on X for that kind of stuff to see what's happening at the tracks.
Oh, sure.
I think most of the bias that I learned was because I used to always love watching Aqueduct because I'm in Nebraska. I'm not there. So you talked about the atmosphere there. I didn't have to worry about. But I always noticed that it's like whoever had the lead coming out of the turn won. And the other bias that I always thought was funny, I joked about it, but it was just like if you had Aqueduct where there was a bunch of scratches and there's 4 horses running, whoever's the dead chalk is going to finish out. They never would win. And I used to clean up on that angle because whoever's the dead is out.
You say that, what's funny is I had a stakes race at Aqueduct many moons ago, and it was a 5-horse race. And I think it was Tis Wonderful. He was a big-time 2-year-old, and he missed the Triple Crown, and he was like 1-9 in a 5-horse field.
Yeah.
And I did just what you did, Joe. I said, no way. He's either going to win this race by 20 lengths or he's up the track. There's no in between. So I just give me the highest odds I can get. And sure enough, Gary Contessa, a guy who never wins stakes races, wins it. But
Aqueduct was notorious for that.
Yeah, Aqueduct was. I'm very glad you didn't get to actually be there because you would have made you sick. It really, but yeah, Saratoga, for instance, Nina. Now, that's a track that generally plays to speed on the dirt. And in fact, because they haven't had a lot of rain, the turf is playing to speed. Because when you start seeing, when they get around that first turn and you see the dust flying on the turf, that's a track that has no water in it. It's going to be really hard and fast, so it's going to be for early speed. But Saratoga generally plays to early speed. Now, that's not a bias. That's just the way the track plays. If you start seeing like the one horse wins on the rail, no matter what happens, that's a bias. And it's very difficult to. It does take some years of learning. Just keep watching the races and keep saying to yourself, "Hey, this is Churchill Downs. It's a fair track. It's usually whoever the best horse is. If they're good on the front end, they stalk, they close, they can win." But geez, I handicapped this race and it looked like it was going to be early speed and the closer won it. Why is that? And then the next race, the best horse is a speed type or a stalker and he's in good form and everything looks good and a closer still wins. Well, maybe it's playing the later speed. It's not an easy thing. I wish I could give you a more definitive answer. It is not an easy thing, but you just have to watch. And that's why I always say, particularly Turfway, watch how the tracks play in the first few races because Turfway can be early speed. It can be late speed. It's very fickle, So anyway, not to go along on that, but that's I mean, those are great things. I mean, I think what you're doing, Debbie, is very intriguing. That's very interesting. Scott and I do our pace calculations, and I'm not, because of the way I drive, I don't like to think about miles per hour more than
right.
But hey, no, that's so you guys have now. Let me ask you this: the night before the Derby, what happens?
Well, we've kind of agreed in the last couple of years. The Mystic Dan incident.
Yeah.
The Mystic Dan incident was. I like to watch the race replays, and Mystic Dan didn't have great numbers coming out of the Arkansas Derby. But if you go back and watch that race, he had some real trouble down on the rail. I think it was pretty early in the race, maybe midway through the race. So I went back to the Rebel, and his numbers, I plugged them into the spreadsheet, and his numbers were top of the list, or right up there, maybe even the top of the list. I can't remember. And so I texted him at work, and I said, "Hey, what about this Mystic Dan? That his Rebel numbers are really good. I think this horse has a chance." Well, here comes a video from him of somebody just bad mouthing Mystic Dan. And so then I got it in my head, this is dumb. This horse has no chance. And so now we kind of agree that we'll ask each other, who have you settled on?
Yeah.
And we do talk about it. I mean, we don't, but we've agreed we're not going to be influenced by each other.
Right.
Or each other's picks.
You should never be influenced by anybody else.
No.
And unless they make such a case that I've had that happen. It doesn't at this stage of the game. It doesn't happen often with it. Every once in a while, somebody will be like, I hadn't thought of that. That makes sense.
Well, she'll come up with some stuff, and I'll be like, "Wait, I didn't even see that," and I'll go back and look. It's like, "Oh, that was a great point. I missed that when I was looking." So I mean, she has a lot more data than I do. She watches all the replays.
Oh, you got to watch. Now, and Laura asked the question, do you do it for every race? I do know guys who handicap, they watch every single race replay of every single horse. I don't have the time to do that.
No.
And I do think, in my opinion, sometimes that can cloud your judgment. But for the Derby, I will tell you, this year, you guys kind of charged me a little bit because this year when I did my Derby contender profiles, I went back and watched every single race. And I had forgotten some things like Emerging Market. You watch his maiden race, he didn't like dirt at all. He had kicked in his face. You could see it in his like doing that, pulling back. And then when the Louisiana Derby, I didn't see that. I said, okay, he's solved that problem.
Right.
But yeah, I watched for the Derby for the 3-year-olds because you generally only deal with like 5 starts. I don't think you have to go back to the 2-year-old races, but the 3-year-olds, yeah. I mean, I could definitely see watching more than one for sure.
Oh, I will though. Like Universe, I was really high on him last year. Soldier and Diplomat. Oh, I was high on him. He turned out to be a complete flop. But I'll look at those 2-year-old races and
Well, the thing is that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, the last 2 years, I mean, we went back when Citizen Bowl won it 2 years ago.
Yeah.
All I did was say, hey, guys, every single horse in that Breeders' Cup Juvenile, not one of them has come back to be any good. And you have to say about last year, too.
it's almost like a cursed race.
Yeah.
Well, it's not so much that. To me, it's just that the big time 3-year-olds don't run in them because the trainers are thinking, well, we don't have to now. And I still maintain it has to do with them, the pressure the owners give them, and the numbers these guys want to maintain. Because there are plenty of horses that, you start them at 2 and it's going to take them a couple of starts.
Well, and do you really want to be the it horse now at 2? I don't think you do.
No.
I wouldn't want it. I wouldn't want to be a Ted Coffee.
It depends. There's only 2 horses who have ever won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile who have come back to win the Derby: Nyquist and Street Sense.
Yeah.
And Street Sense was the first. And I remember Breeders' Cup Day. He was about the best bet you could possibly have got, and he was 10-1.
Oh, wow.
Because he had run in, I believe it was the Jockey Club, and he just loved Churchill Downs.
Yeah.
And so the Breeders' Cup was at Churchill Downs that year, and he was gone. And he was the one horse. So he had the bias working for him, and he loved the track. So it's like no brainer. So, and then Nyquist was in a terrible crop because he won the Derby easily and he won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile easily, and he was never a doubt in either of them. And, the 2-year-old race is just, I mean, I can tell you in 2005, I was all over First Samurai. He was my horse. He won the Champagne Stakes. He beat Kenny Hughes.
I didn't like him. I don't remember why though. Who else ran that year?
Well, Barbaro.
Oh, Barbaro. Okay.
It was a lousy crop except for Barbaro.
Yeah.
It really was. It Steppenwolfer, Jazzle, who I bet for the Belmont. And I'll tell you, I mentioned this
That's
before,
good
but
then.
I have to bring this up. My mom, rest in peace, who was into horse racing before I was. And 2006, she said, I used to give her the past performances, and she would tell me, I like, whatever you like for the Derby, I'll bet it. And
Yeah.
But so we got to the Belmont, and both of us, after the Derby, I said, Jazzle for the Belmont. So get to the Belmont week. She goes, Alex, what are you going to do? I'm not telling. What do you want to do? So I give her the past performances. And she goes, Jazzle, Bluegrass Cat, Steppenwolfer. Okay, what do you want me to bet? Straight. Trifecta.
Jeez.
That's the only way she would bet. She's either going to come in or it doesn't. And guess what? It came in.
Wow.
Straight. And I had the exact same trifecta. So we both cleaned up. But
That's a good hit.
Oh, because you know what it was? All right, here you go. 20 years ago, Bob Baffert had the favorite in that Belmont, Bob and John.
Oh, I remember that horse. Yeah.
And he had no chance.
Bob and John.
But he was the only speed. And they thought, oh, Bob Baffert, he'll wire the. I say, he was no chance.
Nobody ever heard of that horse again.
And that's back when you would get a 12, 13 horse Belmont.
Yeah.
And, Jazzle was number 8. I'll never forget that. But
Was he like 30? Was he like 34-1 or something?
No, he wasn't that big, but he was. I want to say, I never remember the odds unless it was a double digit, and then I'd remember it. But he was probably like 6-1, something like that.
Oh, okay. I thought he was bigger than that.
Robert was like 5-2, and he was a toss. I tossed him immediately. And Bluegrass Cat would have given me the superfecta in the Derby, but after he ran, if you remember, his Bluegrass was so terrible, I couldn't bet him back. And I'm watching Barbaro draw away from the field. I'm like, I got it. And how are we going to do in the Super? And here comes Bluegrass Cat, and I had every other horse right.
Oh my God!
Brutal. But it was my own fault. I should have just remembered because he won the Remsen
Which
by
one?
open lengths. He had a monster Remsen,
Oh,
and everybody thought he was going to win the Derby, and he didn't. But so
Debbie had a bad beat in the Derby the year they took who was it they took?
maximum security.
Maximum security. She had everybody except.
You got to hear this. I had maximum security over Country House, over the 4th place, over the 5th place. I left Johnny Velasquez off my ticket. So when Country House got moved up, I got Zip.
That was the worst day ever. That was tragic.
And I loved Country House. I loved him.
I got one better.
Oh,
Okay, exactly same scenario. 2020 2021 Medina Spirit. Okay, I watched that horse. I go, no way, tossed him.
I got a story about that too. We'll get to that.
Okay, here's that year. I had Mandaloon. That was my horse at
Loved him.
2021. I had 2 through 6.
Mm.
Perfect. That's
Oh,
$100,000 superfecta I lost because of Medina Spirit. So when they took him down,
oh,
that hurt. I was like, I just lost $100,000.
Oh,
I'm not getting it back.
Shit.
And there was a group who sued. Of
Really?
Oh yeah, there was. I was not part of it, but
Oh my God, Alex. This is another strategy that I do, and this is going to sound completely out of whack and completely crazy. But like the week of the Derby, I start looking for like a little sign somewhere from something to give me a horse just for a fun bet. And because it has happened. I'll give you an example. I can't think of the horse that the dam was named Drone, and I saw the word drone that week on Jeopardy, and I can't remember what horse that was. Well, Medina Spirit, the week of the Derby, I'm reading a book. Now, I'd never even heard the word Medina before.
mm-hmm.
I'm reading the book, and they start talking about this Medina over in Middle East somewhere, some kind of a wall. And I called my mom, and I called some people, and I said, "Hey, have you ever heard of the word Medina?" And they said, "No, I've never heard of it." And I said, "Well, there's this horse running in the Derby named Medina Spirit," and I bet it. And now it doesn't usually that doesn't usually happen, but I do. The week of the Derby, I'm always just keeping my eye open for a little something because it has happened.
Do you know how many times? It's funny you say that because this is a very strange thing, and I don't know why I don't act on it more than I do. But I can look at the past performances, and I'll just look at a horse, and something will click.
The name or something.
And I'll just go, and it gets stuck in my mind, and I can't justify it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can't tell you how many of those have come back to win when have I just been like, you know what, just go with it.
Intuition or something.
Yeah, just go with it. Don't even question it. Just go with it. And
I wouldn't have used Medina Spirit otherwise.
And I think about that, and then I think about like the year Mine That Bird won.
Oh, I was a Musket Man fan that year.
Well, Escandarea was the favorite. He scratches out. He won the Wood impressively, and he scratches out. So now the favorite's I Want Revenge, who ran like a 114 buyer at Aqueduct. And I wasn't keen on him either.
No.
So then it's like, all right, the 2 favorites scratch. It has to be a long shot at this point. I'm saying this to myself. And I went up and down. And I already made my tickets for my company for the Derby Superfecta pool. And I'm emailing them like, all right, both favorites are out. I got to improv here. And I look and I get to Mind That Bird. And I keep looking and I go, I know it's going to be a long shot, but I just can't get there with this one. I can't do it. I just can't see it. And I won't bet a long shot unless I can see it. And then all of a sudden I'm watching the Derby and Pioneer Now's in the lead, who we went with. Who's that on the rail? And even Tom Durkin was like, Mind That Bird.
Yeah. That call is great because it's like Mind That Bird is 3 lengths in front before he gives him a call.
Yeah. So that was a crazy one. But I noticed nobody is commenting. Is everybody still here?
I don't know.
Laura has a great question. All right, which one of you guys is better?
Ooh.
Well, I've had more Derby winners.
She's had more Derby winners, but I've done we used to go to the local track and we do the handicapping contest there. I've done better in those than she has. So it's kind of a toss up.
Diplomatic answer. Good for you. I'm actually was interested in and was that, and again, this is my chauvinist side in me, so forgive me. Women are fantastic in the paddock. I've seen Kaylee Shapiro is a monster visual handicap. My mother was, I like that one.
Yeah.
When you've gone live, do you find yourself like you can, something about them you can gauge, or it's something that you sort of just catches your eye and you go, yeah, I like that one.
Oh yeah, Burnham Square would be an example of a horse that. Oh my God, when he'd be on the track and he'd do that kind of bowed neck and the kind of rocking horse thing, I always look for that. I always like that, and I thought he looked so good the week of the Derby. I'm like, there's no way this horse is not going to get there.
He ran a great race and a very underrated race, and I didn't think he could win, because I didn't think he was fast enough, and turned out to be right. But what a great horse. I mean, you finish 6th in the Derby and yet be a monster on turf.
Yeah.
Tim and I were both like, love that horse. Love that horse. I was, when he won the Bluegrass, I was happy as a pig in shit. I could not. Oh my God. When he beat I hate East Avenue.
Oh yeah, me too.
Everything has to be perfect for him to win.
Yeah, that's always tough when it has to be perfect, because it's hard to handicap it for the perfect race, especially the Derby.
I mean, I should get back to another interesting fact is that I have a severe horse allergy.
Okay.
So I really can't be up close and personal at any track. I had a severe allergic reaction as a kid when my dad took me down to Exarban, and my face swelled up. And so, yeah, our local track, we'd go to the paddock.
Yeah, we went back in the barns once. It was funny because Dakota Hills was a horse I liked for the Derby, and he ran here in Omaha. And we went back in the barn and he tried to bite me. We were walking by and he reached out and jumped out of the way right when he tried to bite me. It was just the weirdest thing, because it's like, here's the guy that I like. He's trying to.
It's terrible that, but I had a job once where I used to have to be, believe it or not, in Rhode Island, we have this section called Hope Valley. And it's down on the southwestern side. And it's absolutely gorgeous. It's not beach. It's nowhere near the beach. It's all rural, and it's like absolutely pristine farm country and whatever. And a lot of times I would go to a horse farm, and I'd get there and I go, oh, cool, horses. And I start to walk into the barn, and I can't do it because of all the horses. It freaks me out because I'm afraid one of them's going to come across and bite me.
Yeah.
And there's something about that. I don't know what it is. When I'm in the paddock, it doesn't bother me or anything like that. But walking into a barn,
Oh yeah, I know what you mean.
I can't. It freaks me out.
We had cousins growing up that had horses. They were just quarter horses. And they put me, I'm like 10 and I weighed maybe 90 pounds. They put me on this pregnant mare and she took off at a dead sprint with me on her, jumping fences. And they're all yelling for me to get her to stop. And I'm like holding on for dear life. So that's been most of my experience with horses.
Wow. Now, I have to point this out because Ernie Marshall, one of our 5-star subscribers, is popping back and forth because his 7th grandchild is on the way. Well, good for you,
Ooh,
Ernie.
Congrats.
That's my number, 7. So that's
Yeah.
going to be a good one. Miss Graceland. Good name, too. You guys have kids?
No.
Nope, no kids.
Okay. You're just like me. All right. The horses are, some of you guys know Howard Kravitz. He always talks about some of these horses as his sons.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I don't go quite that far,
Yeah.
but so good for you, Ernie. That's awesome. Let me think about. Let's see what else. Now, all right, track bias spreadsheet. What do you agree on? What is it like? Is there a common thread between what you guys do that you find that you both go, yeah, you're right. I like it too.
She got me looking at something one time because I never thought of it this way. She brought it up one time because I don't remember what the race was we were looking at, but there had been a horse that had won a grade 3 or something like that. He was jumping up to a grade 1, and she pointed out, like, just because he's jumping up, you don't know he can't win a grade 1. He just hasn't yet. And so I did start looking at that a little bit more.
That's how I got Val Hall.
Yeah, so you don't know he can't win it because he's won a grade 3 easily enough. You don't know. So it's like, because I used to throw those guys out. It's like, oh, he's a grade 3 horse. There's no way he's not going to be there. But it's like, no.
Well, I mean, when you get it right, it's usually a pretty good payday. It's not hard, or it's not easy, rather, to.
I will say Joe likes, well, we used to make fun of Joe for betting more favorites. I cannot bet chalk. I can't. It's like the only time I bet chalk was journalism over Gosker. Was that the
Preakness.
the
Or that's the Haskell. I was at that race.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact.
Other than that, I can't do it. It's like a mental block. I hate chalk. I hate it.
I'll tell you a funny story about the Haskell. Gio, you guys know Gio said he's a friend of mine.
Yeah.
And he was at the Haskell, so he and I were talking, and Mike McCarthy.
Oh, yeah.
And Gio goes, hey, Alex, can you hold my phone and take a picture of us? I go, yeah, sure. So he said, Mike, can I have a picture? Sure. Comes over, takes a picture with Gio. And he goes, I don't know what you're going to do with this. And I said, oh, Mike, you'll be on the cover of Tiger Beat in no time. He got a kick out of that.
That's pretty good.
Hey, that's why I get the big money.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, well, that's. Yeah.
I'm trying to think, what else do we agree on?
Well, I mean, it's interesting because, we've all got a way. The why I like to do this is because we've all got a way of doing it. And no way is better than the other, in my opinion. Anybody who tries to tell you have to do it this way is full of shit. Because it's such a personal thing. It has to resonate with you. And like your miles per hour thing, Debbie, not everybody might get that, but it works for you. So you do it. And that's kind of like the underpinning of why I like to have a lot of different people with different perspectives on, to let you know that if nothing else, to feel better about your methodology is that it doesn't, is that there's a lot of ways to skin a cat. So that's kind of my thought about it. Is it, and that I love hearing this stuff. I mean, because it's going to make us all better. That's the idea.
It's when you talk to other people, sometimes there's something you hadn't thought of and it pops up like, hey, that's a great idea. I hadn't thought about that.
Sure. And it happens all the time. Now, let's see what Laura says here. Do you bond over horse racing, or how are you both passionate about it? Well, I think they're both passionate about it. I think that's fairly obvious. Did you meet at the track?
No.
I didn't think. I don't know why I didn't ask that right away.
No, we met in high school. We were both
Oh,
in the
you
band.
high school sweethearts?
Kinda. Yeah.
Oh, I get it. You went to college and you reconnected.
Yep.
Yep. Exactly what it was.
We went on one date, and then we were friends for a lot of years when he went away to college.
Friends
do-
first. That's the best way.
Yep.
That's the
We do
best
bond
way.
over racing though, especially in the winter because Nebraska gets really cold. So like those prep races, it's kind of fun if I'm off on a Saturday that we'll go make our bets and we'll come back home and we'll cook something here and just watch it on TV. And so it's kind of fun. We can watch it together and cheer our horses.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
last couple of years, ever since COVID, we watch all the preps. We make a big deal out of it. I mean, it's fun.
Well, you should. I mean, to me, that's the thing that the general public, and this is something that I don't think horse racing does a good enough job with, is to accentuate the preps and and get people into it in January, like
Yes.
we are. Like, hey,
Yeah.
listen, this is where it starts. Okay, you're on a road. Now you think about all those people with the World Cup, right?
Mm-hmm.
Who are all excited about this weekend and they've been watching all year, all these matches. Rugby's my World Cup because I used to play and I love rugby, and the Six Nations and all these prep races going up to the World Cup. Who's got the better team? Who are the young guys who are they have like a juvenile version of the Rugby World Cup. The young kids, and like France was really good. So like, okay, let's see how they do when they get it. All this stuff is preliminary.
Yeah.
It's like the regular season for any of the four major sports. That's what the Derby preps are.
Yeah.
It's the regular season until you get to the finals.
That's
And,
true.
yeah. And so, but and of course, if we get them in the Breeders' Cup and start really watching the 2-year-old races, then we'll grow it. But that's why I want the 2-year-old races to mean more.
Yeah. It does get frustrating how the 2-year-old races, and that's something I just saw not too long ago. It's like, I never thought of it in the past because everybody turns 3 in January 1st, but it's like some of them are born June, some of them are born in February. So it's like those 2-year-old races, you might have a June baby running against
Yeah, you do see that sometimes.
Oh, good, yes.
Right before the
That's
Derby,
something I pay attention.
people
Oh,
start
that is
talking
an
about the-
extremely important thing
the
to pay
older-
attention to. Listen, Hartspun was a May 2-year-old. He didn't turn 3 until Derby week.
Mm. Mm.
So that was one of the things I was like, look, he's behind the curve and he's
Yeah.
already competing.
Right.
Oh, that's a huge. I just assumed. Listen, when they breed, they want every horse to be as close to January 1st as they possibly can
Yeah.
get.
Really? Okay. I did not know that.
Oh yeah. No, they start on Valentine's Day is when the breeding season starts, and they go all the way. I think it's until June. If you see a June 2-year-old, that's extremely rare. Extremely rare. And I would be like, ooh, that's like a mistake or something got between. Like no, seriously. Like you see a May, if you all the time, if I see a May 3-year-old, a May 2-year-old, there better be a lot of other factors before I'm going to bet him because he's behind the curve.
Yeah.
Now sometimes they're precocious, but for the most part, you want to see most of the 3-year-olds on the Derby Trail. You're going to see are February, March, right in there. An April 2-year-old or 3-year-old they're behind the curve.
Yeah.
That's a big factor. That's a really important thing. Nobody ever pays attention to the parentheses with a month. They were born.
Right.
It's a big thing, really big thing.
I'm going to now.
Oh, this is why we do this stuff because I just presumed people know about that.
Yeah. I forget about it.
Oh no. Let's see what Ernie says here. I've been going to the local track for years for entertainment, and we'll go to Kentucky every year, either at Churchill or at a family derby party. But I never really got serious until Rich Strike. Uh, that was a cherry on the cake for me. I'd been serious about it for a long time, but then I got Rich Strike. That was kind of a nice bonus. But yeah, I mean,
Rich Strike is painful for me because I'd bet an Oaks Derby double, and I had to bet it the day before, obviously, and I didn't really realize that Rich Strike was in there when I went to make my bet. So I didn't have him because I didn't know he was in the race.
well, the only reason I knew he was in the race, I've told this story before, but I was all prepared to bet Epicenter. I had all my tickets made, everything done, ready to go. And I'm sitting there at the old Raynham dog track sportsbook with my buddy Darren. And I go, Darren, look at the tote board. Co-favorites. Gotta be a long shot. Betting public can't make up their mind. Oh, come on, Alex. Epicenter. I go, no, he's the best horse. But all that aside, something's going on here. And don't forget, we had the rabbit in there, or Summer is Tomorrow, that we were pretty sure was going to run lightning fast pace. It's going to screw everything up. And Crown Pride, 2 Japanese.
Oh
ones.
God, yeah.
So I start looking through the form, and I go, I know the top 20. I know them backwards and forwards, but all of a sudden I look at the also eligibles we got this year. Rich Strike. Wait a minute. Synthetic to dirt. You know I love that angle.
Yeah.
Career high Brisnet number prior to the Derby. Look at the work tab. What's his odds? 83 to 1.
Oh my God, I forgot he was that high.
So I go to my buddy Darren. I go, Darren, fuck it. I think he's going to win.
Oh my God.
No way, Alex. I'm like, okay. I go to the window, come back, watching the race. Who's that coming up the rail? That's Rich Strike.
Oh, jeez.
Oh my God.
The only regret I have is I didn't bet the Super because I would have had it for $750,000.
Oh
my
my
gosh.
God, Alex.
That
I had
hurts.
the Super high five. I had the I had every
How
exotic.
did you
bet.
sleep that night? I would have been wide-eyed.
Well, the consolation was my mother, who used to love to poke at me about horse racing. Well, that's horse racing. She used to say all the time. Used to grind my gears like you don't know. So I walk in, and she looks at me. She goes, "So, how'd you do?" Assuming I didn't get it.
Right.
He goes, "Did you have it?" I go, "Well, actually, yes, I did."
Oh,
Oh, really? I go, yeah, really. I had it. So she's like, how'd you come up with that? That's why I get the big.
that's a great story.
So, yeah, I mean, we've all got those bad beats. I mean, I told these guys, and last week you might have remembered. Last week I had 2 bad beats in a row at Saratoga. I had a 10-1 shot who was drawing away in the 8th race, nailed at the wire by a Pletcher gelding. And then the next race, I had a 6-1 horse who was pulling away, nailed at the wire. Horse racing.
Yeah.
I have one that I still think about to this day because we were at the local track and there's simulcast going. I wasn't paying any attention, and I hear a horse with my dad's name get a call, 35 to 1 wins. I would have totally bet that just on the name, but I was like not paying attention at all. I just hear my dad's name. I'm like, what? Sure enough, he wins easily.
What's one of the biggest angles every year for the Derby is bet against the horses who have a proper name in their horse name. My Boy Jack, Jack Christopher, anyone, because they get overbet because people bet the name who don't know. They go, oh, my name's Jack. I'll bet the horse named Jack.
Yeah.
So they're classic underlays. And, the thing is, for the uninitiated, oh wait, maybe look, in morning line he was 50-1, and now he's 38-1. What's going on? Maybe they know something. No, it's because his
Yeah.
name. That's
Yeah.
Now, let's see what Father Sean says. Great to have Debbie and Joe in here. Do you have favorite types of races you prefer to handicap, or do you focus on the bigger stakes races? And what are your preferred wagers? Excellent question. 3 questions there.
Yeah.
You have the floor. Go.
Do you want me to go?
I can go.
Ladies first, Joe, for God's sake.
Yes. Okay.
No, you go ahead.
Ladies first. He said.
Well, like I said, I like to do the Derby preps. I like stakes races. I like to find value. Let me say that. So I'd be hard pressed to bet a fodder race.
You're right there with me. I'm a value guy. I do not like favorites unless I can find a way to justify it. But
That's why I like the Breeders' Cup races, because there's so many horses. A lot of things get overlooked, like that steeplechase horse.
oh yeah,
Think of his name.
that's right.
You know, stuff like that. I mean, that horse looked good if you look at those replays. That horse looked good after he left the steeplechasing. But anyway, that's beside the point. But yeah, I did that. I had fun handicapping that Del Mar race this week, but that was a stakes race. So
Yeah.
I guess I do probably do stakes race. We probably
Yeah.
both do stakes races more than we don't have time to get to the track like on a daily basis.
Yeah. I work weekends, so it's like a lot of the good races are weekends. So
Sure.
it's like we'd have to go early to make a bet, and then I'd have to watch from work.
We don't play every week. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe Derby preps, we
Well,
try
you
to
know,
play all those.
the thing about stakes races is, you know, we all love stakes races. I mean, I you know, if it's got a G1, 2, or 3, I'm going to bet it.
Right.
But you know, the thing about them is, particularly for newer players, those are the best races to get involved with, because the form is usually a little more defined than it is for claiming races. It can be anything, especially at the smaller tracks. I mean, good God, if you play Mountaineer,
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I only because it was at night on a Monday, Tuesday, when I'm like, I have nothing to do. All right, I'll play Mountaineer.
Yeah.
And that it's just roulette. I mean, I literally can't. I mean, there's a guy, Mark Patterson, who's a fantastic handicapper, and he used to be the steward, a racing secretary at Mountaineer, and he used to do a show. And now he has his own website. I guess he's left Mountaineer, and he's really good. Like, I want to preface what I say, he's really good, but I don't know how anybody could make a morning line or even pick those races. It can't be done. It's those smaller tracks. It is very, very difficult.
Yeah.
Because they're out of form all the time.
They are.
That's what it is. Stakes races, they stay in generally good form.
That's a very good point.
You know.
Well, I know they asked the preferred wager. I know we usually bet win place shows, exactas, but it's funny because I'd like to play a pick 3 because it's kind of fun to try and do a pick 3. And I've talked about I like the Grand Slam and the New York tracks. That's for whatever reason that challenge, I love it. But it was funny. Debbie finally did a pick 3 a while back. Just her first pick 3, she decided, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. Hits for what was it, 900?
It was $1,000 thanks to Alex
Oh, come on! It's
giving
not
me Valentina.
Oh yes, you're the one. That's
And-
right.
And I'd never even bet a pick 3 before.
All right.
I don't usually do horizontal wagering.
Well, you know, Harvey Pack used to say this, and Harvey Pack's an old New York handicapper. He used to be on TV and all this stuff, and very New York. Preface this, very New York. Now, he used to do a handicapping seminar at Saratoga at Ciro's. If you've ever been to Saratoga, Ciro's is like, you literally walk out of Saratoga and Ciro's is right there.
Mm.
You can't get a drink. It's packed after the races. But in the mornings, they used to do a handicapping seminar. Andy Serling, Steve Christ. It was great. And one of the things Harvey Pack used to say was, if you don't hit the pick 5, you play the pick 4. If you don't hit the pick 4, you play the pick 3. If you don't hit the pick 3, you play the late double. So you got that pick 3 because one of the greatest angles that I've mentioned before that I will say again, it's in the Breeders' Cup, and you guys know I don't like the box, but in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Turf box, the Euros, just box them. It paid. Oh, I got that exacta, and oh my god, I forget what it paid, but it was like holy shit, because you just don't know.
Yeah.
Around 2 turns, the Juvenile Turf sprints are a little easier, but those 2-turn races, you just don't know. So it's like, box them all because they're better than we are.
Yeah, I just thought it was funny because the first time I finally talked her into making a pick 3, and she bets it and hits for $1,000.
I spent $9 to get that.
Fantastic. I had a pick 5 for 10 grand. I spent, or for 15 grand. I spent $16.
Whoa!
It can happen. That's the best feeling in the world when you're on and you know. I played the Claiming Crown is my favorite sequence of the. I hit it last year for 10,000.
Ooh.
And it's my favorite sequence.
No, what is this? I don't know what this is.
Okay. It used to be run at Canterbury every year in Minnesota.
I love Canterbury.
Yeah, and I got a good friend of mine. I'm threatening to go up there.
Oh yeah, you did tell us that.
The Claiming Crown is run in the fall at Churchill Downs, and what they do is they take. It's supposedly to find like the Breeders' Cup for claiming horses.
Okay.
So they have a turf, sprint, route, all that. And the way they do it is instead of making them stakes races, they're all starter allowances.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing that makes it a great sequence that I encourage everyone to play this. Because they're claiming horses and it's an allowance race, technically, they're all allowance races. Class is everything. Because if you have a Prairie Meadows $10,000 claimer running against, and he's the favorite, running against Churchill Downs $10,000 claimers, who would you pick?
Right.
It's all about class. I sit there every year and I go, how can this horse be favored? I don't understand. And the year I hit for 15 grand on a $16 ticket, I'm making this out, and all I said to myself, make it count. Every race. I'm not picking favorites in any of these races. And I didn't. I had 2 horses in every race. I think it was.
Wow.
And neither of them were the favorite. Except I singled the last race was the favorite. And I singled it.
I have a hard time singling. It's like I'm always very, even if there's a guy that just looks just solid, I have a hard time doing it because God knows the one time I'll single, the jockey will get knocked off coming out of the gate.
Well, now, like you take Ernie. Now, Ernie's had some nice pick 5s this year. And I'd like to hope I had a little something to do with that. But he's a good player. But there's different schools of thoughts about sequence betting, horizontal wagers. I mean, I am probably too proud about them. I just don't want to spend a lot of money. I'm like, I should be able to hit this sequence for a reasonable amount of money.
Yeah.
The average people would spend is probably like $150. I just won't do that. I'm like, now it's wrong. It's probably wrong of me to say this because I think if I spent a little more money, I'd probably hit a lot of pick 5s. But I have to have a single, and singles are always, that's the hardest thing. I mean, especially if it's a short price and they don't fire. It's brutal,
It is.
But conversely, one of my all-time favorite horses is Touch Upon a Star. That Louisiana bred who has won graded stakes races. And I'll tell you, I got him at 5-1 a couple of times, and I singled him. And he beat Sierra Leone. He beat
Wow.
Hall of Fame because the scenario was perfect for it.
Yeah.
There was no other speed, and I was like, nobody's going to beat that horse in the front end if you leave him alone. That's the greatest feeling in the world, when you can single a horse who's not the favorite. When the Puma, there's an example of it. I had him at 8-1. I singled him in the Tampa Derby. I was like, he is not going to lose today. I know it. It's the greatest feeling in the world. So give yourself extra brownie points. You should feel great when you feel that strongly about a horse and you're willing to. He's going to be my single in the pick 5. Because when it hits,
Yeah.
Now, conversely, I have had singles that were great picks at 10-1, and I didn't get the pick 5 because another one shit the bet on me.
Right.
But I'm just saying it's what I think it comes down to, and what I've always believed about handicapping in general is, and Laura's learning, so I try to really reinforce this, is that you really got to have conviction, and you just have to say, this is my horse, and hell or high water, I'm going for it.
Yeah.
You just have to do it. And the thing about it is that I think we all assume that, everybody else picked it. Why didn't I if it came in? Well, look at the Haskell, right? How many people did you say, I like Further Ado? How many people said, I like Napoleon Solo? How many people said, I love the Puma? Any of them win? No.
Nope.
Right?
Right.
So, hey, go for it. If that's who you feel, you go for it, right? You took your Golden Tempo, Joe.
Yeah.
Nice call. Great call. There may be other years where that might not be the call, but you got it this year, right? So, it's one of those things. It's so objective. It's very subjective, but it's also there's so many things that can happen. Hey, just go for it.
I loved Sovereignty so much going into that Derby. When he won, I just cried because I believed in him so much.
You and Kaylee Shapiro, she's starting a cult.
I know. We've
She
chatted
loves
on
it.
X before.
Oh
We've
my
bonded
God.
over Sovereignty.
Oh, listen. I was at Saratoga. I was talking with her and her dad. Dad Marty. Hopefully we're going to get him on. He's a great guy. He's a bin hooker. And they're like, oh, think about the price we're going to get when everybody gives up on him.
Yeah.
Think about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I haven't given up on him at all.
No.
She's insane about Sovereignty.
I know.
It's just, but hey, that's like me with Heartspun. I just knew, you just get behind him and hey, it's a hero, that's what makes it great. I want to point this out. Laura, co-favorites in the Haskell. Something to think about. Something to that, Alex. Okay. You're right, Laura. And if I got burned, I knew exactly what to do. I watched that race and I saw 3 horses at 2-1. Got to find a long shot. But I really thought Further Ado was the best horse. Otherwise, I wouldn't have done it. I would have done exactly what I always tell you guys. If you see that scenario, you've got to find a long shot. But I thought Further Ado was the best horse. I got burned. This 3-year-old crop has burned me
I know.
routinely, and I will never do it again. Any of these, if the Travers, I don't know what, or the Jim Dandy will probably be a pretty good indication. But when you have a crop like this, it's every race is wide open. We have to remember that. See what Ernie says. That's what hurts. When you get a couple great prices in a pick 5 or 6 and blow it on some freak that shouldn't have been in the race. Yeah, it happens. It happens. It happens. The thing is that, to me, like there was a race at Saratoga today. that had a Chad Brown, I think, and a Brad Cox. So you'd normally go to the bank with either of them, right? Except for the fact that I looked at them, they said they both suck.
Yeah.
Toss.
Yeah.
Got the exacta. But when you're doing a sequence, it's so easy to say, well, I've got to include them, right? Because the numbers don't lie. You get into all of that. Well, if you have a horse you really like in that race, and it's not a Brad Cox and it's not a Chad Brown, well, there's a very good possibility that you're right. Why wouldn't you single him? And this is the thing people have trouble. It's hard to do. I know. I've been there. It's really hard to go, oh, but I want to win. Okay, but you want to get paid too.
Yeah.
Right?
I have a hard time when you see those races where there'll be two trainers will have 6 of the horses in an 8-horse race between two of them. It's like, I hate those races.
Oh yeah, and listen, the Diana is one of my favorite races, and I'll tell you why. It's because the first time I really got into Saratoga, that the first Diana I ever saw was Wonder Again. It was just like it was yesterday, the slop. Nobody could beat Wonder Again in the slop. But Intercontinental was my girl. And I got her in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf and made a killing. I got her at 7-1 because they didn't think she couldn't be rated. Period. Could not be rated. But I just liked that horse. The Diana, I missed out. She finished like 4th. She was up the track or whatever. And I had watched a couple of races beforehand. So every year, for some reason, the Diana is like one of my favorites. But this year, 4 Chad Browns. Which one? Right?
Yeah.
We all do it, right? And because he's going to control the race.
Yeah.
And they even talked about it. They're like, Kathy and Marissa, that was my horse. She won. But you kind of wonder if he's pulling the strings behind, like, all right, so he has to let Kathy and Marissa win because she needs a grade 1. So let her win. You wonder if some of this stuff's going on. It drives you crazy trying to think about it. But
Right.
I hate races. The Bob Baffert Invitational, every Santa Anita Derby prep is 4 Bob Bafferts.
Yeah.
Which one do you want?
Oh, I hate that.
Yeah, it sucks. So I mean, yeah. Let's see. Let's see what Laura says. I think you have to see a lot of scenarios. That's true. That's true, but think of it this way, Laura. Look at what Joe and Debbie have shown you is a couple of different ways to skin a cat. And they've had their share of success. They've had their share of winners. To me, the linchpin to handicapping is you just have to not be afraid to lose. You just have to say, hey, I went through all these horses. I'm a rational, intelligent person. I have some background in horse racing. And I look at this horse and I really like him. And I think this horse is going to win today. And he's not the favorite. He's not even the second choice. He's the 4th choice. Going for it.
That was me with Marjoram in San Clemente. I loved him, and he ran dead last. Everybody.
He was in my mix. He was in my mix, but yeah, he shit the bed. And
What a horrible performance. I'm still bitter about that a little bit, but
it happened.
whatever.
There weren't. I will say this about Marjoram. That was one of those kind of like the Chad Brown scenario. Like, I don't really like him, but I got to use him. And I will freely admit, not in my multi-race wagers, but trifecta, yeah.
I mean, looking back, why did they put him on dirt the last time? That was the warning sign that really.
What do I always say? Like, this is
What are the trainer's intent?
Well, but right, but there's something more with that though, that you don't have to be a handicapper for a long time if you'll trust yourself. Because if you look at a running lines of a horse, and I've gone through the PPs with you guys, right? And I'll go, okay, he's by gun runner with an Into Mischief mare underneath, Into Mischief dam, dirt, right? So they start him on dirt, and he doesn't really take to it in his first start. So they run him again, doesn't take to it in his second start. So now they drop him in class into a claimer, maiden claimer. What's that tell you? They're not high on him, right? So he doesn't do well in the maiden claimer. Then they switch him to turf, and they stretch him out. Well, what do they do at that point, right? They don't know what to do with him. They're trying to figure out what to do with this horse.
I know. I thought he was getting back to turf. He'd had that 91 Brisnet. I thought, oh, he's won a grade 3. I think he was the only graded winner in the race, 9-1.
Right. And that was a very valid reason to use the horse. I'm not saying it wasn't, but
I know.
It's just about when you get a feel, when you look at these, particularly the bigger trainers like Pletcher or Cox, or when you start seeing them moving them around from their sweet spot.
Yes.
There's a pretty good reason for that. Is that they're trying to figure out something to do with. Look at Knightsbridge. They just put him around 2 turns. Why? Because in his race prior, when he ran around 2 turns, he had a really good second, and nobody expected that. So they put him around 2 turns again, the Monmouth Cup. And that's Bill Mott testing that horse. Okay, now he won at 2 turns. Now I know I can use him at 2 turns. Right? This is what they do. I mean, they test them out. They're trying to find a place to use where the horse can be at his best. Tawnyport was on the Derby Trail, right? And I think he won the Sunland Derby, if I'm not mistaken. And he looked like just a bust, right? He just wasn't any good. And I threw him out. So what they do with him, as it happens after the Triple Crown Trail, now we're going to put him in a place where he's probably going to be pretty good. We're going to put him on turf at long distances, right? Built. He'll never run around 2 turns again. So
I agree. I get it in my mind that they're all have a possibility. And the truth is, that's not true. Tawnyport had no business being in the Kentucky Derby or on that trail. But see, I'll buy into that. I'll buy into a turf horse.
That's the thing that experience will get you. That if I had to say there's one thing that I'm not willing to do is I won't implicitly trust because a horse is trained by a certain trainer that I'm going to use him. I won't do it. I mean, there's plenty of Chad Browns I tossed. I tossed a couple today, and I was right. But there are certain scenarios, there's certain signs when you see it, you go, okay, he's ready.
I tried a different angle this time because you'd mentioned it before, looking at the breeding. And when I went back, telescopic scratched out. But that's one thing I looked at is like the Dam Sire's average winning distance was 10.5, and he's coming into a 1 3/8 turf race. So I'm like, I need to start looking at that more because I never used to pay any attention to that. And so
that's something I want to do more of.
Well, that's one of the best stats that Brisnet offers to the racing form doesn't is average winning distance. Now, the only thing you've got to remember about that is for the 2-year-olds or younger sires, the average distance is going to get longer as they go along. Why? Because their are only running around 1 turn to start.
Yeah.
Right? So when you see like when Gunrunner started, I'm sure his average winning distance was like 5.5 furlongs because that's all his 2-year-olds were running at.
Right.
Well, Gunrunner's a 2-turn horse. So you put those 2 and 2 together and you'll go, well, he's going to be okay around 2 turns the first time.
That's what I was drooling over a telescopic before he scratched out because I'm looking at this is a 1 3/8 and
you know what I love? I love it like when you see I had it the other day. I can't remember the name of the horse. He was by Dubawi. European sire. His average winning distance is like 10 furlongs. Or Galileo.
Mm.
You see on the dam side or on the sire side, and you see average winning distance 8 furlongs for the sire and 10 for the dam, and they've been running in turf sprints and they stretch them out.
Yeah.
Sweet spot.
Yeah.
You know, it's a monster. And then the other thing, the Brisnet, when you see how many 2-year-olds, the percentage, like you see 100% 2-year-olds for the dam sire, or for the dam, all her get 1 at 2, and is running at a maiden at 2 years old. Light bulb. This one's probably going to be pretty good. And then if you couple that with like a trainer who's sneaky good with 2-year-olds, like John Terranova, I got a really nice exacta today. He had a horse that if you looked at him, you saw John Terranova's first-time starter percentage is really low. It's like 3 or 4%, except he'd had a horse run really well yesterday, so that barn was live. And that's a good New York trainer who's good with 2-year-olds. He just usually needs a race or two. But then I look at the work tab and I go, pretty sharp. That's a horse who's live.
See, and
he finished second. And he if he broke better, he might have won. But
I had one of those this weekend that I kind of talked Debbie out of because there was a trainer, I can't remember which race that was, that had this ridiculously high percentage. It's Bookham Dano's trainer.
Oh.
And I was like,
Derek Ryan.
just like the percentage was really high, but I'm like, well, wait, he's only had like a couple of outs.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, okay. Then I found out it was Bookham Dano's trainer. It's like, well, all those wins are from Bookham Dano. So I kind of talked her out of a horse because of that, which I think that
I don't remember.
I think that horse did okay.
Yeah, I think he ran second, maybe. I can't remember.
I've done that. I mean, I've done exactly that. I'm like, well, he's got. There was a trainer, Kathy Rietvo. She had Mucho Macho Man.
Yeah.
Her only big horse, you know. It's like, oh, a lot of wins are Mucho Macho Man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've done that. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've said it before, particularly at these bigger meets like Saratoga or Del Mar, you can almost throw the percentages out when a barn is hot. You can do it at any track, really. If the barn's hot, Grant Forster was winning 40% at Churchill Downs. And he threw an upset in the stakes race. I can't remember the name of the horse, but you can almost throw it out. It's like the barn's hot. It doesn't matter. Conversely, the other thing is if you have a trainer who's not great with first-time starters, but the work tab is just lights out, that's a good horse.
Yeah.
You know, he's got a live one here. You can't get past it. And then if they put a named jockey on him, there you go. But it can be a guessing game, but a lot of times you just like, here's a guy at Saratoga. I'm still waiting, but I know he's going to pop before it's Mark Hennig. Mark Hennig will throw a bomb in there. And I remember a couple of years ago at Saratoga, I just kept watching him. I said, when's it going to hit? There it is. And I hit for like 10-1. And then I got him again at 8-1. And I got again at 15-1. It's like because the barn was it was ready to pop.
Yeah.
And little things like that you normally would go, Ilya Kantarmasi. Who's this guy? I never heard of him. Take a look. He's a New York trainer. He's going to be geared up for Saratoga. Little things like that. Let's see what Laura says here. Hey, Alex, I wanted to know about training facilities. What do trainers move their horses off the track to these? Well, all trainers have particular things like who trained Barbaro? Mike.
Mike Maker.
No. Oh, damn. What was his name? Anyway, he trains all his horses at Fair Hill. Grant Motion does too. I believe it's a training facility in Virginia. Todd Pletcher, Bill Mott likes to train his horses at Payson Park in Florida.
Michael Matz.
Mike Matz, that's right. Thank you. Father Sean, great minds think alike, fools never differ. There you What do I think about them? Generally, rule of thumb is the horses who train at these facilities that aren't at a track tend to be just what they are, a training track. So they're slower, they're deeper, because they want to build bottom. So when you see a horse like at Payson Park throw a bullet or run like a 47 and change 4 furlongs, you pay attention. The only one that I would say that does not bear fruit, like if you see it, is San Luis Rey, SLR. You see those California horses run like really good works there. It doesn't mean anything. But Payson Park, Fair Hill, the training tracks, Saratoga, the Oklahoma track, Belmont training track, Churchill Downs training track, or any horse who trains at Turfway, because that's a bottom building track. Turfway runners, horses who leave Turfway and go run other places, do very well. You guys know, I talk about it all the time. It's because it's harder to run on that track and it really builds foundation.
Yeah.
So if you think about it, it's a difference between running on a beach and now you're running on pavement.
Alex, can you talk about trainers that put their horses and do little secret workouts?
They do. There's nothing more often than not when you see an 80-to-1 shot win a maiden. More often than not, they've got like 2 or 3 works. That's not enough. More, I would throw a horse like that out. You would too, right? It's not enough. He hasn't no foundation. What does it generally mean? It means he's working and they're not clocking it.
Yeah.
Do they do that? Yes, they do. There used to be a trainer, Mike Hushin, in New York, who used to, as soon as the track opened, his horses are out there working, so nobody could see it.
I've heard of that happening,
But you'll also drive yourself crazy suspecting or trying to figure out which trainer's doing that, which isn't. Some of them just don't. Believe it or not, there's a lot of trainers that don't know what they're doing. There are. I mean, there's a guy in New York, Edward Jones. He never wins anything. I mean, he's like 0 for 50 all the time.
Jeez.
Oscar Barrera III. He's at Saratoga. He's a New York trainer. His father was Oscar Barrera, Laz Barrera's brother, I believe it was.
Yeah, I've heard of him.
Trained affirmed. And he doesn't know what he's doing. He doesn't win anything. I immediately toss his horses like on principle. Because I'm like, I don't care what they look like. They're not going to, because he doesn't know what he's doing.
Yeah.
Sounds sad.
So, but you learn after a while. Some of them, maybe 2 or 3 works. Well, maybe it's going to tell you something.
Yeah.
It's always got 3 works, but he's in this race. Why is he in this race? This trainer wins pretty good. Why is he in here? Got to be a reason, right? But you'll drive yourself crazy. You can trying to figure out if somebody's hiding a horse or not. You will drive yourself nuts. Now, I would say this: if you look in the paddock and he goes, "Well, he looks like his ears are pricked, up on his toes." All right, I have to show this. I'm gonna show that, Sean. I'm gonna show what you had to say. Well, let's do this one first. Ann and Mike Moran are parishioners of mine, and they bred hard spun. I knew. I knew he was good people. I knew this.
Ah,
And crowned Sovereignty's mom. Pretty cool.
that's very cool.
That is super cool, Sean.
Now, Laura asks, why would they hide works? Think about it. They bet too.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever heard the term backstretch money?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what it is. That's what it is. That means if you have a horse who's on the morning line 30-1, and all of a sudden he's down to 8 or 7 or even the favorite, I've seen that go from 30-1 to 2-1. That's backstretch money. You bet both hands because the only way that can happen is a lot of people have to bet that horse.
Yeah.
They hide works, Laura, because some of these trainers do bet. And they also, hey, listen, if you're a trainer, a lot of trainers are broke all the time. They are. So when they've got a good thing, they got to make their money somehow. And
That's a good point.
that's why they hide their works. That's what some of them do.
Well,
Hey,
here's an example. Apparently, everybody on the backside knew that Sovereignty was absolutely a monster before the Derby. And Bill Mott comes out and goes, well, I hope, we hope for the best. He's not going to come out and say, folks, go to the bank.
Well,
No
Some-
one says that.
some-
Chad Brown sometimes.
well, listen, some of them do. Kenny McPeak is notorious for talking up his horses.
Yeah.
Universe was one of them.
Yeah.
I mean, I saw him saying to people, you want to see the next Derby winner? There he is. Come on. You learn that. D. Wayne Lucas was ridiculous about talking up his horses. Flying First Class, I'll never forget that horse. I think it was the Arkansas Derby, and it was maybe 2005 or 6. And that horse broke his maiden, had maybe one start afterwards, puts him in the Arkansas Derby. And he did the classic D. Wayne Lucas middle move, which nobody uses anymore, but I wish they would. I see it once in a while. It's my favorite thing. It's when you get a horse that's on the backstretch and he busts the race wide open. He moves way earlier than everybody else, catches the field flat-footed.
Uh-huh.
D. Wayne Lucas won more races doing that. Codex, his first Preakness winner. You go back and watch D. Wayne Lucas. The more times, is it true when he beat Easy Goer? That's exactly how he did it. He told Lafitte Pinkai, just start moving up a little bit at a time, and then when you get to the top of the stretch, bolt. Before anybody else moves, go. And he caught him flat-footed.
I love that.
And he tried to do that with Flying First Class in the Arkansas Derby and flattened right out because he didn't have the foundation. But D. Wayne Lucas was all about folklore. Folklore won the Breeders' Cup Juvenile Fillies, never raced again. And he's going around there telling everybody this is the second coming. You can't, trainers are never going to tell you when. Bob Baffert, believe it or not, is the one guy who every once in a while is pretty honest. And he'll tell you, he really, I remember Congrats was running in a race at Saratoga, and he had this really good work. And he goes, well, he's going to need it because it's going to be tough today. And he upped the track. But for the most part, it's trainer speak. They're not going to tell you, But
It's just funny watching their interviews. It's almost like Bull Durham where they, have a set number of things they say. Oh, well, God willing.
Yeah.
They'll all come out safe.
I never listen to trainers.
Yeah.
Ever. I don't care. Ever. Now, I have friends of mine who know them. And I can tell you, the Pennsylvania Derby last year, Gosger was a horse who was pretty prominent. Sean Nolan, you may know, Spin. He's a friend of mine. He went right up to Brendan Walsh because he knows him. He's like, oh, of course, hated the track. Hated it. A lot of horses don't like parks.
Right.
But is he going to say that on camera? Maybe. Maybe not. I don't know. Let's see here. Nina says, Henning is one of the trainers that knows what he is doing. I noticed his program will come together, and I suspect that is why he gets – that's right. You got to think of it this way, right? I remember when Patrick Quick, who's a New York trainer, he won a race at Saratoga last week. And Andy Serling pointed something out that should be very obvious. He knows what he's doing. He just doesn't have the stock these other guys do.
Yeah.
So he's got to scratch and claw and pick his spots. And when he goes to Saratoga, he gets overlooked and he gets a 15 or 20 to 1 shot and wins. Ed Barker is another guy he mentioned. It's not that they don't know any less than Todd Pletcher does. They just don't have the big time horses. They're not as good at selling themselves or marketing. And I'm not saying that as a knock on Todd Pletcher, but hey, he read the D. Wayne Lucas playbook. Look nice. Jet your horses everywhere where they can win.
Yeah.
It ups his stats. So it used to be you'd say an average trainer is a guy who probably wins 10% of the time. Now it's like 13 or 14% because of all these high percentage guys like Bob Baffert, Steve Asmussen. But they can jet their horses all over the place. And I'll tell you a great angle, particularly with Todd Pletcher horses, is a lot of times they go into graded stakes races and you think, oh, it's Todd Pletcher. Must be pretty good. Look where he's running.
I think you said that. I think you mentioned that before.
He used to have a Sunland Derby winner every year in the Derby. Are you going to back that horse just because he's Todd Pletcher? Why did he send him to Sunland?
Yeah.
He can't beat the better horses.
See, that's what I think with Bob Baffert, because I mentioned that before. It's like I feel like maybe the owners aren't sending Bob Baffert as many of their top horses they used to, just because of the taint of his suspicion.
He just got that $10 million Flightline horse.
Yeah. So he might be back.
As I've said before, he is a Hall of Fame trainer for a reason. He knows what to do when he has a good horse. Yeah. He's got a shitty crop of 3-year-olds this year. It happens. They all suck. Look at Desert Gate. He's got to run him in like the Minnesota Derby to give him a win. I mean, he's just not a good horse.
Yeah.
It's not his fault. It happens.
No, that's why I kind of wondered if owners just aren't, or at least for a time being, weren't sending him their best, so he didn't have as much of a stable as he had prior.
No, he's got Zaydon stables. He's racing. He's got some big ammo racing. Not ammo. Starlight. Those guys have plenty of money. They're going to send him. He knows how to win. But it's all a question of, do you have the horse? D. Wayne Lucas went years without winning a thing, and all of a sudden, towards the end of his life, he sees the gray. He gets who was that three? He won the Oaks with the one who was running in Arkansas. He knows what to do when he's got a good horse, but it's all a question of, do you have a good horse? Look at Belmont's barn isn't going well right now. Does that mean he doesn't know what he's doing? He knows what he's doing.
Yeah.
When the horses are right, he knows what he's doing. When he's got a good one, I'll guarantee. He just won with a 2-year-old yesterday. I don't know how that horse won.
Yeah, I saw that.
Simulate, and it was muddy. Maybe that was it, but the fact that he's in Kentucky now, Baffert is. I think we're going to find out a lot because he gets beat up on the California horses who aren't any good. So we'll see. Let's see what Nina says. I was standing behind Doug O'Neill betting right before the Bob Lewis, where I'll have another one at 45. Now, there's a great example of getting behind a horse that paid. I'll have another was like he won the Derby at 33 to 1. Then he won the Preakness, and I don't even think he was the favorite that day, because when he won the Derby, he won by like that much.
Mm-hmm.
And the thing I remember distinctly, and I'm pissed at myself I didn't bet him, because I knew he had a chance, is he knew how to win. You watch him out in California, he fought for every race, he won by just this much. And after a while, you're like, well, the horse just likes to win. And that was a classic one of they kept underestimating him, myself included.
I mean, Nina, how did you not run to the window and start? Although, I mean, Vitruvian Man, I wasted a couple bucks on him yesterday.
Well, Doug O'Neill is dangerous Doug. I mean, he's the Nick Zito of the West. Nick
Yeah.
Zito, you never bet with the favorite, but you bet him with odds because
Yeah.
he again, this is Doug O'Neill's a sneaky guy, and I have a feeling he may place a wager or two. And he likes to fly under the radar, and that's when he's dangerous. Never with the favorite. Vitruvian man. Well, I had him I thought in the Belmont, I think it was. I thought he had a shot at getting underneath, but then he ran up amongst the leaders for some reason and nowhere. But
My little spreadsheet said that he was going to the lead, and he rushed up, which was not a good move.
No, let's see. Father Sean says that was, but he's talking about that Wayne Lucas move.
Oh,
That was my one regret. I had plenty of chances to talk to the coach at Saratoga,
oh.
and I never did because you always had to be real careful with him. One day I was walking to the track, and there he was. I said, "Best of luck today, coach." He turns around, he's like, "Hey, thanks," like that. And I was like, "Maybe this is my up." No, don't do it. And I kept going. But he was the guy you had to be very careful. You never knew what you were going to get. He might tear your head off, or he might buy you.
Really?
Yeah.
Some of my I would say long shots over the years, D-Wayne Lucas.
Oh,
You know, you get 12-1, don't leave him off. I
He's
mean,
an extremely dangerous trainer. But don't forget, a lot of his success, there were many Kentucky Derbies. He had 6 starters.
yeah,
Yeah.
Pletcher had another interesting thing is Pletcher's had 5 a couple of times, and
I remember that.
none of them did anything. Nick Zito had 5 starters in 2005. I'll never forget it. Bellamy Road, Sun King, Noble Causeway, High Fly, and I can't remember the other one. All up the track.
I can't believe you remember all of them
You have a-
anyway.
you
I
have a
have no
great
memory
memory.
like that.
It's my dad and I were like that. It just I never forget anything. But it was they made a big deal about it because they're like, oh, he's got 5 starters.
yeah.
You know, well, the problem was none of them were any good.
Right.
Sun King was the 5th one. Sun King had second-itis.
Oh.
Great. He could
You-
close
you
like a
like
freight
Sun
train.
Yeah, I like Sun King.
Sun King was a great horse, but he couldn't win.
Yeah.
There was a time in the 2000s, there were like 3 horses that you could lock into your trifecta with no reservation whatsoever. Perfect Drift, Dynaver, and Sun King. Every time Dynaver would be favored. I go, he'll run 3rd.
Yeah.
It was beautiful. I used to Perfect Drift is in the race, fantastic. Single him in 3rd, and he'd pick up a check every week. Not so much anymore, but Sun King was one of those too. He'd close like a freight train, but he'd always finish 2nd.
Yeah.
You know, but let's see what Dale Romans talks about. Yes, Dale Romans does. Dale Romans is a great guy. I really hope he wins his Senate seat in Kentucky. You need people like that.
That would be
Great.
cool.
He's a great guy. He's a character. He's in Saratoga every year, sitting right by the one of the areas people can put lawn chairs and stuff, smoking a cigar. Character. Let's see what Rod says. See, my thing is how the hell does a trainer know a horse doesn't like the track? They don't. They can guess, and the only way they guess is, for instance, I'll give you a story. Man of War. The famous thing about Man of War is he beat Sir Barton, first Triple Crown winner, right? They had a match race in Canada. And Man of War won by, I think, 7 lengths. And everybody's like, wow, look at Man of War. You know, he just beat a Triple Crown winner like he was standing still. Well, the trainer knew beforehand it was a match race, so they had to do it. But he was on record as saying that Sir Barton's probably not going to like the track because he's got really sensitive feet. So Man of War won the race, probably would have won it anyway, but Sir Barton might have given him a little bit more of a. So there's things like that they're going to know when, and I think in this day and age they're more likely to scratch than say we'll gut it out and see if he can still do it. The greatest example I ever saw, and I think you guys have seen it, you back Secret Oath. You're right, Rod. That's who the Lucas horse who won the Oaks. The greatest example to me of a horse overcoming a track they didn't like was Personal Ensign. She was undefeated, had won the Whitney against the boys, going to the Breeders' Cup in 1988, did not like the mud. Shug McGahee, everybody knew it, did not want to run in the mud, but it was her last start going against Winning Colors, who won the Derby that year. Winning Colors gets to the lead, it's pulling away. Personal Ensign's hopeless at the back, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, screaming down the track, and just by a hair beats Winning Colors. And it's one of the greatest performances of all time because everybody and their brother knew she didn't want to be on that track.
Yeah.
But they know. They if they don't like the mud, they don't like the mud. I mean, the way they train, if they have to train in, heavier tracks and whatnot, they know.
Yeah.
But sometimes they have to run them anyway. It's just.
See, I've always liked horses going from east to west more so than going from west to east. It seems like the California horses, when they run in Churchill, don't do as well as when Churchill horses go to California. That could just be my own personal thoughts on it, but it does seem to be usually, at least in the bigger races, it's like it's better going west than it is going east.
Sometimes. I mean, it all depends. If you're going from Gulfstream to Santa Anita, there's not much difference. If you're going from Churchill to Santa Anita, there's a huge difference. That's a deeper track. Oaklawn. I'm convinced of it, and I've been told otherwise. That when Bob Baffert has a really good one, he likes to keep him in Santa Anita so he can work with him.
Mm-hmm.
But he also used to send American Pharoah, Looking at Lucky, to Oaklawn. And I was convinced the reason he did it was because it's a deeper track to see if he could handle it before he went to the Derby. And he's had good success with horses he sent to Arkansas.
Yeah.
Usually do pretty well in the Derby. It's hard to know. I mean, it's the same thing we say about European horses. A lot of times they come to the States because they want firmer turf. They can't handle heavy turf. Like if a horse is in France, he's going to be in heavy turf every single race. A little bit better in England or Ireland, but so a lot of times they send him over here because they need firmer turf. They can't handle the bog. So it's kind of the same principle. If they go out west, they may really like firm turf. But they also might not like it. It's what I would not do is make a generalization one way or the other. I would just try to look at where's he been running. Like where's he run? Has he been running well at Gulfstream? Well, he might be okay at Santa Anita. Might be okay at Del Mar. If he's running at Belmont, Oaklawn, Churchill Downs, maybe not so much. It's hard to tell. Or they're just really good. It's not going to matter.
No.
That's the other. They're not going to. Let's see. Oh, we got some intel from Ernie. Brendan Walsh is 50% at Ellis Park right now, and I know because he just beat me in a race. So just reminded me of that. Care for that, Ernie. Pissed me off. And you wrote it twice. Anyway. Okay. I one thing I did not think to do, and I apologize for we've kept you guys a rather long time. I don't know if you know.
Oh no, this is
We're
fun.
good. We're having fun.
Okay. I life does get in the way sometimes, so I just wanted to make sure that it was okay because
We cleared our calendar.
Oh, you did? Okay.
I'm just kidding.
This has me thinking some more that we really ought to have some kind of a powwow at Keeneland, I think, in the fall. We could make that work. Have some kind of a group gathering. They did it with Trusted Prophets. They had a bunch of I wasn't able to make it, sadly, but they all went Keeneland in the spring. But
You ever watched? I was curious about if you ever watched those. So we've talked about smaller tracks, but somehow or another, I ended up seeing Wyoming Downs, and that was kind of wild to watch.
there's some, there's Will Rogers. I've never seen. There's a bunch of them that are out there that I Fresno. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of them I've never played before, and probably the smallest track that I like to play would be like Remington Park. I like, and Prairie Meadows is kind of neat. I don't like tracks where it's that biased though. I like fair tracks. That's what Churchill and Oaklawn.
Yeah, we used to play Remington a long time ago.
I get a kick out of it. Because the guy Billy who does like their track handicap every time they pick 5, he does the pick 5 and pick 4. I don't know what the hell's going on in this race. I'm just going to pick them all because I don't know. It's like,
That's like the guys for that Assiniboia Downs. It's like they're hilarious. You watch those replay or those races at night.
It's a sizzler. Oh yeah. I think where they Duke is one of them. I think, and it's, well, there's Sunland Park is like that too. Their race color is hysterical.
Oh yeah.
Express Kid, Express. It's just like last year. Look at we got a photo finish. Yeah, totally comedy
Oh my God.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you're so right.
Well, my theater comes out. I can do impressions. Let's see what Hot Rod says. Small tracks, you do well, Rod, not good. My mother's an English teacher. Sorry, I have to. And play at Assiniboia down to Evangeline and Turf Paradise. I can't wait till Arizona Downs opens. I'm really looking forward to that. That's a $500 million facility they're opening.
Yeah.
I don't know what it means for Turf Paradise, but at Downs, Century Mile. That's right, Century Mile. Red Car is another one. Was it the Red Mile? There's one in Canada. Century Mile is in. Canada's got a lot of them. Fort Erie, Hastings, Century Mile. Yeah.
There's some of those tracks that get kind of crazy to watch too. We were one time at a simulcast and we were watching, was it Portland Meadows? And it was like all foggy. And so the announcer's like, well, I think the one is in the lead, can't tell. And there's this race
You
running.
literally saw nothing for the entire race.
I remember that happened once. I don't know if it was at Saratoga. I forget where. But there was a guy's like, I honestly don't know who's in the lead right now. I'm like, oh, he's like,
So funny.
I don't know. I'm but Laura grew up at Fort Erie. Yeah, I always see that one. Assiniboia Downs, you see a lot of Hastings, Century Mile. Assiniboia Downs for night racing is hysterical.
I like it. I'll watch it from work sometimes. I'll watch it because I work evenings.
Well, the best thing about Ass Downs is the fact that fields are all 7 horses or less. So you literally takes about 5 minutes to handicap a race.
Right.
Yeah.
And we used to do it with Stable Duel when Stable Duel was running big. Belmont's daughter runs it, or is a big part of it. We used to do it with Trust the Profits. She would come on and we used to have the contest. I got away from it, but Riders Up Tim, that's how I got to know him, was doing Stable Duel with the smaller tracks. But people forget, every state has a breeding program. Virtually every state. Massachusetts even though they don't have a track anymore, has a breeding program. And so that's a place to showcase them. Let's see what Hot Rod says. I can't believe we got Hot Rod this long tonight. Where do you guys see horse racing in 10 years? All I see is that multiple tracks will be closed in due time. Yeah, Ruidoso Downs just closed. There's another small one. Hawthorne just went down.
Mhm.
Mhm.
No racing in Chicago was criminal.
I saw this weekend that there were a lot of young people at Monmouth, and somebody on X said, we need to have like a concierge people at the tracks to help young people, like get them into betting. Like they don't even know how to bet, the basics of making a bet, that have people wandering around, make it more accessible. I don't know.
Kyle Roscoe from the Triple H Racing Podcast used to be an ambassador at Arlington. That's exactly what he used to do, was to show people how to bet, help them out. And if you know Kyle, he's a wonderful kid. He's like a son. Because he's a big guy like me, and great kid. But that's what they used to have at Arlington. You'd be surprised. A lot of times you go to the track, the kids usually come up and go, "Hey, I don't know what I'm doing. Can you show me how to do this?" Most of them.
I've had a few conversations with coworkers, like, 'cause I work with some younger guys, and it's kind of funny because they always think it sounds so smart when I say it, but it's like, because if they go to the casino, you're going to lose eventually. With the horses, one of them's going to win.
Yeah.
I just have to figure out which one.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of like whenever I do my derby pools, when I used to do them, people always used to say, "I don't know anything about horses." You go, "You don't have to. I'm going to make the picks. You just need to invest." Yeah, but I don't know anything about it. Okay, let me ask a question. Play Powerball? Oh, yeah. How many tickets do you buy every week? Oh, $20 every week. Okay, so I'm asking you to spend half of that, $10 a share. Do you think the odds are better or worse that we'll win the Kentucky Derby Superfecta as opposed to you winning Powerball?
Yeah.
And they think about it. I go, there's no thought involved at all.
You're right.
Yeah.
Powerball is in the billions of odds. I can get this down to the hundreds. You got a lot better shot,
Yeah.
And but I think it's inevitable that I'll tell you a little to Rod's question. I wonder sometimes if HISA isn't a little bit of a conspiracy to get rid of horse racing.
Oh, I've thought that. These are the PETA people hiding behind HISA.
Well, you've got a lot of trainers who think about getting out of the game. I've already had a couple. Just say it's too hard. Can't do it anymore. Kenny McPeak's talked about it. It's too hard.
Didn't you say that's why the Texas races aren't simulcast, is because they won't adhere to this HISA stuff?
That's right. They won't adhere to it. They won't be a part of it. So they said, okay, fine. You won't become part of HISA. You're not on the national stage. You can't do simulcast or anything. So Texas, that's the only way you watch Texas races is you have to be in Texas. That's it. And they made it work.
Well, and for example, Paco hits a horse over the head in what appeared to be a fit of rage. I mean, I don't know what was going on inside his head. He's still racing.
Yeah.
Where's HISA? But yet, if somebody hits a horse one too many times,
Well,
I think that's ridiculous.
Well, there's somewhere, but to me, there's like a range. Now, to me, if somebody from PETA was to say to me, hitting a horse with a whip is abusing them, I would say, okay, have your 3-year-old daughter sometime take out a stick and hit you in the leg with it. Will you feel it?
With a Nerf stick, no less.
Will you feel it?
Right.
Yeah, I'll feel it, but it won't hurt, right? Right. Okay. You got a 1,000-pound animal with a 115-pound jockey on him, hitting him with a whip. Is it doing permanent damage to him? No. Does it sting a little bit? Yes. And so there's that's one part of it. And then you go the other extreme of if you're riding recklessly and you're putting the horses in danger or running them when they're not healthy, or they shouldn't be
Right.
on the track.
Right.
Okay, fair enough. But to me, what it always comes back to is that right. Louisiana. Sean points out Louisiana is not a HISA state either. That's right. But they are on live feed. You're right, and that's why they run stakes races. You can use Lasix,
Oh, okay. All right. I've always wondered about that.
except the Derby preps. That they don't use Lasix. But to me, I always go back to the thing whenever PETA goes on about whatever. I said, look, they're born to run. That's what they do. Horses, man has been dependent upon horses for thousands of years. You know, they're born to run. It's what they do. Why not get some enjoyment out of it? I mean, and horses, hell, when Stormcat was a sire, getting $500,000 a cover, he had an air-conditioned stall, padded,
Yeah.
you know,
Right.
security cameras. You think they were feeding him shit?
No.
Treating him damn well. Now, on the smaller tracks, do horses get abused? Yes, they do. But they're reducing the amount of it by HISA, so I'm in favor of it because I think they're doing a lot of good things. Are they a little extreme at times? Yes. And when you see a repeat offender or recidivist like Paco Lopez, yeah, you wonder, when is it going to be enough? You know, if you guys are really strict about saying, listen, man, how many times do we have to suspend you and nothing changes?
Right.
Right.
But I will say this. I heard somebody say the other day, and I think it was a very good point. He said it's up to the jockeys
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
to sort of police themselves and just say, hey, listen, Paco, you know, look at what happened in Saratoga with the what was it, the pick 5, because the jockeys wouldn't run in a race at a mile.
Right.
We still don't really know what happened there.
I kind of remember Calvin Burrell trying to police somebody in the Breeders' Cup. Going at who was that? He
Oh
went
yeah,
at-
yeah, that was it was Irad. I think it
That
was.
was pretty funny.
What happened?
You remember he went after another
Oh,
jockey?
he was swearing at him,
Oh,
screaming
that's
at him.
right. Yeah. They got into it, didn't they?
Well, as a friend of mine's father used to say, jockeys fight like dogs in the clubhouse, and they do. They're competitive guys, and you know they don't eat a lot, so they're probably a little temperamental. But I mean, there's just so many things wrong with horse racing, and they can't seem to find a way to get together with everybody on the same page and just create a national commission and have a national, because when you do that, now they have the same standards. You can ship horses everywhere without all these restrictions. Most of these trainers get busted because they ship a horse from one jurisdiction to another, and the horse hasn't enough time to get the medication, get off the medication that was permissible where they were. There's a lot of problems like that look like, well, a trainer's trying to cheat. He's really not. Graham Motion talked about it. He said, it's really hard to move from one state to another sometimes.
Yeah.
Let's see. What pick them up? But yeah, but hey, I've seen that, Sean. Let's see. What is this? You know what's funny? Two oldest sports in America are so effed up in horse racing and boxing. Yeah. But the funny thing is that UFC is probably worse than boxing. They've got good marketers, and they have one commission, right? They don't have three bodies, and they don't have a guy like Don King who nobody trusts.
Yeah.
So I think there'll always be horse racing. It wouldn't surprise me if it ends up in Kentucky exclusively. Kentucky, New York, and Florida.
I gotta find this replay of Irad punching Paco in the face.
Oh, it's
I
out
have
there.
not seen this.
Punch you Paco in the face repeat. Yeah, it did. I have seen it. It's out there. Yeah, it's not just one thing. We all know that. You know, I hope to God someday they come to their senses, and it's what, what's funny is that I always say that after the Black Sox scandal with Major League Baseball, you know, they had a very good possibility it would have stopped because people didn't trust it.
Yeah.
And they found a way to solve that problem. And then radio came along, and they didn't want radio because they didn't think anybody would go to the park. And then somebody figured out, oh, wait, now we can get all those fans who can't get to the park. And then they didn't want to do television for the same thing. And then somebody said, nah, television probably a pretty good idea. Horse racing did TV in the 50s a little bit, but never made an effort to make it a weekly. They could have had it every week, They could have had your Friday night card, whatever.
That'd be fun. I'd watch it.
Yeah, of course you would. But it's just and I think the problem is, and I don't know why it's taking them so long, but the 80s is pretty much when Lucas became big, is when he started getting all the Arabs, the Japanese money, and the new money started coming in. That's when the sport changed, because it used to be the sport of kings, all old school families, old money. They didn't have to win, but they were prepping for breeding. So you had your 2, 3, and 4-year-old programs. You had your handicap division. You had a concern to propel the breed forward and not just think about lining our pockets. They wanted to make plenty of money from stud fees, but there was more to it than that. They were giving back to the game, and like these guys now, a lot of these new money owners, they don't give a damn. Run my horse. As soon as he wins enough, I put him out to stud. That's when I collect.
Yeah.
When you think like that, now we don't even have handicap races anymore because they all carry the same weight. That used to be a big thing. If a horse could carry weight, he'd be a good stallion.
Right.
Yeah.
They retire at 3. It's all microwaved. And the Jockey Club hasn't caught up with that. I think they're trying to. And a guy like Mike Rapoli, like him or love him, hate him, he's got a lot of good ideas. And a lot of stuff he says makes a lot of sense. It's just the way he delivers it. Those guys are too set in their ways, and they don't like hearing from a guy like that. But
Yeah, I agree.
so is the sport going to get truncated? Yeah. And it's going to be their fault because everybody's looking at what they've got now instead of what they could make.
Right.
Mike's always right. He's like, what if the pie was bigger? If you have 20% of a small pie and you have 10% of a big one, do you make more money? Yeah. Why don't you think of it in those terms? And they don't. So I don't know.
They're short-sighted.
Very short-sighted. And that's why, Arlington Park goes away. That's one of my biggest regrets of my horse racing life is I never got to see Arlington Park. I wanted to go there every year, and I finally waited. It's too late.
Arlington Million seemed like it used to be a fun race.
Oh, Arlington Million Day was the best. 14 stakes races. 14.
Wow.
I remember going, God, I can't handicap all of these.
Yeah.
So many of them. But the Secretariat, 3-year-olds on turf, the Beverly D, fillies on turf, Arlington Million, and there was one other. And they used to get European import. They were great. And they do it at Church of Downs still, but it doesn't have the same cachet. And Arlington had a great turf course. Phenomenal.
I do remember that, yeah.
And the Euros used to love to go. It's a big time event. And geez, they do it at Colonial. I'm sorry. And at Colonial now they get 6 horses.
Yeah.
For every race. It sucks. And
That's the worst when you have those short fields. It's just so depressing. It's like you can't get too excited about a 6-horse race.
Now,
No.
why did they close Arlington?
Because the Bears wanted to build a new stadium, and they were going to use the land to do that. And now they're not even going to do that. They some kind of problem. I don't know what it was, but so Arlington is basically just sitting there. And it'd be really nice if they just built the track on top of it, because the Bears apparently are going to Indiana now.
Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's and Hawthorne's closing. I mean, it sucks. There's no racing in Chicago. Those are great horse racing people. And Arlington Park, again, what I always go back to is like what makes a good track. They had really nice people there. Every year at the Million, you can listen to the people they had there, and it's just so Chicago. Chicago's like so it's a cool city. Never been there, but it has everything I like, and the people seem like. When I used to talk to people from Chicago, they'd be like, oh, I love it. We take care of our own. They would always say that. We take care of our own. And that's kind of a nice feeling, So I hope that brings racing in Chicago back. But I don't think there's any doubt it's going to truncate. Ever since Powerball and the lotteries, because, that was the reason horse racing was prolific. A lot of people used to go to better their lives, hit the jackpot, hit a long shot, make some money.
You're right.
And as soon as they had lotteries, I don't have to go to the track anymore.
Yep. And it's so easy.
Yeah.
No effort.
Yeah. And so it's just, it's there's going to be a lot of, this year, seeing 2 tracks close in 1 year, and then Gulfstream, God knows what's going to happen with that. And they got Hialeah is still there.
Is it really?
Yeah.
I used to love Hialeah. Back when we first were, I think we were first married, I used to play Hialeah because I could make a $1 bet.
When we had no money and he'd make $1.
You can still make $1 bets.
Yeah.
On
It's
Twin
like-
Falls, you can, but it's, Rod was saying we need California racing, and I totally agree. I can't envision horse racing without Santa Anita and Del Mar. I don't want one or the other. I want them both. And they're having, and the biggest problem for California, if you look, there was a time when they used to have some really good Cal-bred sires, like Deputy Minister and Express something, or it was. There were like 3 or 4 Roberto. There were some really good California bred sires, and now I was looking at today, Clubhouse Ride.
Yeah.
Roberto.
I used to always bet Roberto horses on turf.
Smiling Tiger was one of my all-time favorite, like lower end sires. They fire every time. Or Twirling Candy is very similar.
Twirling Candy.
Oh yeah, he's still around, but I look at the Calbreds and I go, geez, these sires are terrible. Mike Rapoli sent Stay Thirsty out there to try to help. God bless him. But yeah, and that's why, like, you look and all these California races, I go, God, they're so the same. You could have a horse in a $10,000 claimer and then run in a stakes race.
Yeah.
Because they're all so middle of the road. But yeah, so all right, guys, we're getting on the 3-hour level. I think we've maxed this. This was fun. This was a lot.
This was really fun.
Really glad we did this.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
My pleasure. We are going to have some more of you guys on. I think the Hot Rod, perhaps, I will coax on because he can talk to us about Thorograph, if nothing else. Ernie, you're going to be coming on whether you like it or not. Laura, you're coming on whether you like it or not. Father Sean, you're coming on. We're going to have, I like this. I want this to be a community where we all get to know each other. So I think this is great because we learn some things about some different perspectives, and that's what it's all about. I want us to all, something will resonate with you. If it doesn't just be me, there's other ways to skin a cat. So but this was great. And I thank you guys for coming on, and we'll have you back. Derby prep season, I think we
Sure.
definitely gonna.
That'll be fun.
Yeah, and then what we're gonna do, now that I think about it, is when we have a prep race to get ready for, you guys aren't gonna talk about it.
Okay.
Okay.
Have you come on.
I like it. I like it.
That'll be hard, but we can do it.
It'll probably be a fairgrounds one where we can get the PPs out early, so you can get them on Sunday.
Yeah.
And you can
Right.
look at it, but
I like fairgrounds.
yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, now this week we got the Coaching Club American Oaks coming up. So we will have just public service announcement. We will have the full card for Saratoga available at the website, right at thewire.com. I'm going to do probably individual posts on the stakes races, and I'm endeavoring to get a little more involved in Del Mar and have some. So be on the lookout for that. Probably we'll get their stakes races out there available. So we'll have some more content, and we'll do this again next week. Guest will be to be determined. I don't like doing this alone, so we'll try to have a guest every week. But again, thanks so much, guys, for coming on.
Thanks for having us.
And
right.
I'm going to let you go, and you guys have a good night. Take care.
All right, you
Good
too.
luck, everybody.
Good luck.
Okay, I think that was fun. You'd all agree. So you've heard everything that we're going to have coming up, and I will be. I know that Jamie is interested in coming aboard as well, and probably in a couple of weeks. But don't be surprised if I reached out to one of you guys to come on. I'd very much like to get your perspective. And Father Sean, I have a very sneaky suspicion you will probably be next on the list. So be prepared. Anyway, and Sean, on X, send me your email address, please, if you would. So anyway, we're done. That's it from here. I'll talk to you soon. And until then, be well.